Hey guys, welcome to the AEC Arcade in Verona. We're here to see the Gilded Poppy Makery with Storm today, so come on over.
Hi guys!
How are you?
Great
to see you.
How you doing?
Good. Storm, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing a little bit about your life's journey and your passion. One thing I'd like to start with is, of course, tell me a little about Storm when she was brewing inside Mummy.
Ooh.
And let's work from
all the way back in the mists of time. It was a long time ago. New Zealand. So I'm a born and bred Kiwi.
Wonderful.
Mum was a little Kiwi. Dad was an English dude who was brought up in the East. He was born in Lucknow and brought up over there. So I grew up with beautiful wooden carvings and amazing, those gorgeous carved cedar chests and the busts from Indonesia, and surrounded by all this gorgeous wood. Dad built our house.
Yeah.
Built all our furniture. So
Wow.
some of the earliest things I remember doing was sitting down in the garage and with, it was a little electrical hammer, but it was big to me when I was that small. Hammering tiny little tacks into wood and stringing wire, or filing things, making stuff.
Wow.
Which was fun at the time. I was a bit peeved because we weren't really allowed toys, but we were allowed to make whatever we wanted. So there was always materials there to make with. And
so you're always being creative rather than consuming and just playing with.
And as a kid, that was really annoying because all your friends had the toys. However, as an adult, I can see where that started everything off for me.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Wellington. Cold, wet, windy Wellington. There's not much else to do. You can't really go outside for most of the year. So grew up there and stayed there until I was 20 and then started traveling.
Cool. I mean, what are some of the earliest things you remember making that you were proud of?
So didn't have much in the way of pocket money. That was another thing that he didn't believe in. So we didn't do pocket money. So I managed to convince Mum to buy me some polymer clay, so I'd make little badges and brooches and things, and I'd sell them at school for 50 cents each. And then I could go to the tuck shop and get a pie. That was
enterprising. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, and it was just the fun of making it. And then, of course, the forbidden pleasure of a tuck shop meal, which I wasn't allowed. I had to bring my lunch. And those were some of the earliest things I did.
Cool.
And then as I got a little bit older, I got more into the wood carving and the bone carving. And that was something that I've kept. It's still my favorite of all the disciplines I know now.
Okay, cool. Bone carving.
Bone carving. Wood, bone and stone carving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you is it like engraving, or what kind of carving do you do with the stone? Like, as in, you mean any type? What kind of stone?
I carve pretty much anything.
Okay.
So most of the time, at the moment, I've been doing a lot of punamu. Punamu is the nephrite from New Zealand, our greenstone, our New Zealand greenstone. The Maoris call it punamu. And it's a beautiful, beautiful stone to work with. So I've got a couple of pieces carved over there. I'll show you guys later if you want. But it's lovely to work with. So that keeps me pretty busy. I love that. I teach at Lapidary Club in Pennsylvania a couple of times a year. I've been over there physically invited to teach freeform gemstone carving. And then I do some...
That must be very rewarding.
It is. They're an awesome bunch. It's a really lovely old lapidary club, and they're just fantastic. But it's something I really love doing.
And what the main material you work with is? For
them, when I'm teaching, I usually do labradorite. Because it's soft and easy to carve, and it has that incredible play of colour. Yes. So it's really rewarding.
Great for beginners and... Yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly it.
Gets you inspired into wanting to explore it more.
Yeah, and it's a little tricky. It has this weird structure where instead of being nice and rigid and singular, it sort of layers up like this in weird areas. So you got to kind of watch what you're doing. Otherwise, you can get some crumble or some crack. And so it's good for them to learn on, because it's just that little bit of an extra challenge.
It's got a little bit of an advanced skill requirement.
Exactly.
Amazing.
But it's very rewarding, and it polishes beautifully.
And how about the wood carving?
Wood carving.
Like this beautiful piece of wood, right?
That will eventually turn into jewellery and all sorts of things. So before I started jewellery, I did wood turning. and wood
turning.
curving.
And wood curving.
Yeah, curving and
Please
carving.
tell us a bit more about these terms.
So it's making things where you steam the wood and bend it into shape.
Wow.
And
okay.
some of them work really well for that, some of them not so much. But it's really lovely when you're making vessels or bowls or things to give an outside shape. It's really nice. And in smaller form then, you can steam and curve pieces of wood rather than carve it, and then fill the voids with bone or stone or resin or whatever else you want to work with. And it's, it's kind of fun.
Wow.
I don't have the setup here to do that anymore. I had that back in New Zealand, but
How old were you when you were working on this?
That would have been 17 maybe?
Wow.
17, 18.
Very good. You've been doing things most people have never done in their lives before you're even an adult.
There's always the next thing to learn.
And I mean, could you sort of briefly explain how long do you need, can you get a kettle and just steam it underneath the piece of wood?
Yeah, those wonderful steamers you use on clothing, they work a treat.
Okay.
So, or even an iron. If your wood isn't too thick, you can do it with an iron. So that's actually what they usually use when they're putting veneer on furniture, is they'll use the steam function on an iron and just dampen it, warm it up, bend it, and you usually make a framework first. So you'll have a chunk of wood, put some nails in it. I usually wrap them in masking tape so they don't leave any marks. And once it's nice and pliable, you bend it around the form that you want and then leave it to dry and it'll hold the shape. But of course, as the wood gets thicker, then you need something a little bit more industrial, and that's build a box, fill it with steam, keep it really high temperature and damp, and then you're good to go. Wow. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Never even heard of this process, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to see and learn more about that as well. And so tell me, where did your life take you from that?
The journey begins. So at 17, I started ballroom dancing. Cool. And it was huge
Got
fun.
some videos from back in the day?
Sadly, yes. Yeah, I do. And that took me from Wellington, where I grew up to Auckland. I was invited to join a studio up there. So I was up there for a few years. And then one Christmas, it would have been 87. And our studio was usually shut for the Christmas time, but the woman who owned the studio was friends with a lady who did promotions for incoming shows. And there was an English circus that was coming over to New Zealand. So they needed showgirls.
Okay.
And 6 of us from the studio went and became the showgirls for the show as it travelled around New Zealand. And then they took off to Indonesia and invited us all to come with. And I couldn't that year because I was dancing the Nationals. But then I got a phone call at the end of 88 and they said, look, we're going to Taiwan in 89. Do you want to come? And it was like, oh, hell yeah. I'm not missing that out again. That opportunity won't come again.
Yeah.
So I hopped on a plane, took off to Taiwan, and I was a showgirl there for 11 months. And while I was there, I became friends with the South African trapeze troupe and learnt to fly and learnt the high wire, and then travelled with them on to Europe, and then travelled around Europe for the next 3 years.
That would have been the best
as a circus chick.
ever.
It was awesome. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome.
Free-spirited butterfly floating around Europe
absolutely.
and the rest of the world.
So me. No planning, just like, oh, there it goes, shiny.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I did that until 93 when I came back to Australia. I was only going to stay here for a couple of months. And then I had a contract ready to go in Switzerland at a theme park, fun park. I was singing down in the underwater bar. They had dolphins, as well as working up in the theatre as well. And then I ended up just popping along to a ballroom studio because I hadn't danced for a couple of years by that stage. And the principal needed a teacher and a professional partner, so I ended up staying, turning pro, dancing with him and teaching at the studio for the next couple of years. Until I blew my knee out and then went back into jewellery.
And this is all still in New Zealand?
No, this is now in Australia.
This is now in Australia. So around 93 you came to Australia?
Yeah.
After you've done
After I bounced around Europe and Taiwan. Yeah.
Okay. And what made you choose Australia?
Mum and Dad had moved here. Okay. So 88, Mum and Dad moved from New Zealand up to Cairns.
Okay.
And Dad was born in the tropics, so he hated New Zealand. It was too bloody cold.
Yeah.
And
A little bit like Melbourne sometimes.
kind of, yeah.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. The cold's not too bad. The damp, yeah. But still, nowhere
Better
near
than
New
some
Zealand.
places in the world. Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what brought me back. And at the stage, both of my sisters who'd been traveling as well were back here as well.
Oh,
so for a little while, we were together.
Beautiful.
So I crashed with them for a couple of weeks until I got a job and a flat, and then hung out here for a while.
Cool. Yeah. And I mean, what was sort of the like, how did you sort of transition from there into having your own business here today, Cole?
That was kind of, I slowly got into it. I was a bit of a late bloomer.
Okay.
One of the things that I've really had to learn to do is learn to plan. I am your stereotypical butterfly bouncing from flower to flower, and I'm eternally curious and eternally interested in learning the next thing, but that's not very good when you're planning. So it was always just, whatever comes next, which is great when you're young. As you get older, that's a little different. So I worked in fine jewellery for a while.
Yes, yeah.
I'd always wanted to do that, but I'd left home early. I wasn't quite finished with high school when I left home.
Okay.
So I stayed with some friends and their family for a while, and then couldn't go to uni. You had to get out, get a haircut, get a real job.
Yep.
And I'd planned to go to jewellery training school. I wanted to become a jeweller. I'd always wanted to become a jeweller. I'd been fascinated with that since I was
been burning
6. My first talk in primary school was 3 minutes on diamonds that I got from Dad's Nat Geos. It had been that my whole life.
Wow.
But everything just sort of went on hold because I had to get out and get a job and, pay my way.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I came back to Australia.
And dreams have to go on the shelf
That's
first.
it.
But it's all part of the things we don't realise, and perhaps when we're looking back and connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Like, I can see how that fitted into, growing into, who I became.
Absolutely.
But in the moment,
right?
It's all like, my dreams are on the side.
Yep. But all the different things you do and all the places you go and all the cultures you touch, they affect, how you perceive things. So, I don't think I'd be the jeweller I am at the moment if I hadn't done all those things and been to those places and absorbed those cultures and
draw your inspiration from all those experiences.
Absolutely.
And cultures. And,
yeah,
fantastic.
So I did fine jewellery for a while, and then because I'd been in Germany for 4 years and been bouncing in and out from contracts with the circus, I spoke fluent German. So one of the things I did
in 4 years.
Yeah, when you're over there, it's like a baby. You're picking it up in phrases rather than, the schoolroom French that I did, I could shop and ask for fish and totally useless things, but
once you're living in a country,
but when you're living in that country, you're surrounded by it. You hear it on the TV, on the billboards, on the radio, sitting on the train, people are talking, and you don't realize you're just sucking it in. So within 6 months I was talking fluently. And then over the next couple of years I learned to read and write in the language as well.
That's fantastic.
And it was handy. So when I came back, I went straight into duty free.
After you've become an adult, it's not an easy task.
No.
It becomes much harder.
Yeah. I think German is probably one of the, So caveat, it's one of the easier languages to learn because English comes from a lot of Old German and Old English are very similar. And kindergarten is a German word.
Yes.
And there's so many that are similar. And it's very structured. The tenses are a pain in the ass, but everything else is fine. So it wasn't so bad to learn.
Oh.
And then that brought me back to Australia to duty free.
Yes.
And then from duty free, I met my now husband, and then we ended up leaving Australia and going to America.
As well?
Yes.
Okay.
So we went over with his job. He was sucked into the Borg at Microsoft. And we were meant to be there for 2 years and ended up being there for 11. And while I wasn't terribly enamored of that at the time, it actually was a life changer. One of those little spots in your life where you go off on a completely different tangent because you can't swing a stick over there without finding someone to teach you something. And I just happened to have a bead shop near my house and they were holding a class on making a ring. So I went down there and that was it. I was hooked.
Yeah.
That was done. So I spent the next 9 years finding every teacher and going to every class. I could get my little grubby mitts on and learning all of the things, and started teaching over there, and then realized that's what I wanted to do. So when I came back, that's what I did.
That's brilliant. That's a brilliant story. And I mean, whereabouts in America were you?
We were in Seattle.
Seattle?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the head office of Microsoft. So we were over on the east side in Redmond, and yeah, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Cold, grey, dear God.
That's where
No light.
Philadelphia, is it?
No, Seattle, top west corner.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's about 2.5 hours south of the border to Canada,
Oh,
to
so
BC.
it's very close to Canada.
Yeah. Which is good, because one of my teachers, the woman who taught me precious metal clay, was on Vancouver Island, and I'd go up and spend 3-4 days with her at a time and work with her.
Oh, cool. So
Brilliant.
Even took you across the border.
Oh yeah, all over the place. Yeah.
A global creator.
Right. Absolutely.
Amazing. Oh, wow. And so like what are some of the sort of most rewarding moments you've had across the...
So teaching for me.
Yeah.
It always comes back to teaching. Yeah, when I taught ballroom dancing, when I teach this, there's something about watching that little light come on. There's no such thing as a stupid question. I've been doing this now for 18 years, and I never get bored of teaching beginners. Beginners rock, because they don't know they can't do it. So, half the time when I found something new, it's because some beginners just gone, oh, I'm going to do this, because they don't know they can't. And they do. And then you go, oh, why didn't I think of that? Yeah.
The more you know, the harder to be creative.
Yes.
Because you're using your existing
That's it.
palette of ideas.
And we forget to use our curiosity. And that's the driving thing behind any creative, is if you are not curious, then you don't leave yourself open to possibilities and change and theories and techniques. You can learn from everything and everyone.
Yes, and experimenting.
Absolutely. I sat here for an hour and a half the other day because I'd seen a lady on YouTube who was putting rubies into molten silver. And I thought, ooh, that looks cool. So I sat here with some little square rubies and some Argentium silver balls, and with a torch, and melted them, and then did about 20 of them until I got the technique right. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be. But this is the fun part.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here playing with molten silver and rubies and fire, and the eternal 6-year-old of me is going, everything is exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So I see you have some pretty cool little jewellery items right here behind
Just a
us.
few little cheeky things sitting over there.
Now, I know we don't have time to look at all of them, but I would love to see a few of the
Absolutely.
items.
So with,
These are actually really cool.
Yeah, so with those noble metals, they don't oxidize, but they're soft.
Okay.
So if you're making something chunky and heavy, you can usually get away with using pure silver or pure gold, like you see in a lot of the Asian jewellery. Gorgeous stuff, but it's usually quite thick because it's so soft. If it's fine, it'll just snap.
I see.
So what we do is we add base metals to it. So your base metals are your copper, your brass, your bronze. Copper is a pure metal, brass and bronze are both an alloy, and we mix those together, and what it does is it puts a grain into the metal and gives it strength. So sterling silver, when you see it's marked 95, there's 925 parts per thousand of pure silver and 75 parts per thousand of copper. And that copper is what gives it that strength, but it also makes it tarnish because it oxidizes. Yes. So if you're one of these unlucky people that has a high acid level in your skin, you're going to put silver on, blink, and it's going to go black. If you have a low acid level in your skin, it won't react with the silver, it'll stay nice and bright. So what we usually do in the trade, especially in the high value trade, is we rhodium plate silver.
Yes,
so rhodium, palladium, platinum, any of that white family of metals. Rhodium is the typical one, and they plate it. So it puts a barrier between your skin and the base metal, and it doesn't tarnish. It will wear off eventually.
Yes.
And they use it on 18 karat gold because 18 karat white gold is still kind of yellowy. Because it's made up of still yellow gold. Bingo. So it's not that nice bright white colour you see until it's plated.
Wow.
So for this, if I wanted to keep the copper bright, like I do with this particular one, I'll put a sealant on it, a jewellery sealant. And there's some wonderful little sealants now that are nanoparticles that are trapped into the metal and hold really well.
Yes, yeah.
But push comes to shove, you can use any acrylic sealer spray like Krylon that you can get down at the automotive store, and that'll work.
Oh, wow.
Just light mists, multiple coats.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Otherwise, when I'm making cuffs and rings and things like that, a lot of my customers come to me for copper things for arthritis. So, because,
I didn't know that.
yeah, a lot of people find that copper helps RSI, arthritis, pain in the hands. So I don't seal those because you want the metal on the skin.
On your skin, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And they don't care if their skin goes a bit green. So I give people the option. I'll leave it unsealed if they want it sealed. I'll seal it for them. But then it's there if they want to wear it. I love the mixture of metals.
Customer-centric and tailor-made.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
beautiful.
Everybody's different. They all have a different aesthetic that they want to explore.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be using base metals, that's something you need to look at. So these guys are part of the new collection that I've put together that's coming out in the next month or so. So you'll get the first peek at it.
Yeah, there you go. Exclusive sneak peek.
Exclusive sneak peek. And it's all one-offs, and they're all made out of sterling fine and bronze. And I have a bit of a thing for bronze. I love bronze.
So
It's
sterling
beautiful.
silver, fine silver, and bronze.
And bronze,
is
yep.
this collection
Yes, exactly.
here. Lovely.
And these guys too.
I love the two-tone look. I think it's a very classy, stunning
Yeah.
look. You can use it with so many different outfits. And
Exactly.
That's
It matches everybody's skin tone. If you predominantly wear gold, you can wear this because there's that warm color coming in. And that's the nice thing about bronze is that the tonnage is pretty much the same as 14 karat gold.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's super, super strong. You know, it's tough out. I mean, that's why they used to make knives out of it. The stuff's fantastic. So a little trickier to work with.
It's hard to tell the difference. It looks just like gold.
Yeah,
Like
it does.
exactly the same
It
shine.
absolutely does. And it's even more important now, I think, because the cost of precious metals has skyrocketed so
Hasn't
much.
it? Yeah.
So if people want to find something and find it within the price range that they can afford, bronze is a viable option. And it's a gorgeous metal. It's not a cheap and cheerful substitute. It's a lovely metal in and of itself. Viking bronze has been around forever. It's a mixture of copper and tin. And it's gorgeous to work with.
Lovely. And tell me about these little guys. They look amazing. What's going on there?
That's where the fun part starts. So this is a technique called water casting. And what you do is you take your scrap silver, clean silver, and you put it into a little crucible, blast it with your torch, heat it up, and then pour it into a bowl of cold water. And as it hits the water, it creates these shapes. So you're never 100% sure what you're going to get. Which is the fun part. But you can get these wonderful little full-on shell shapes like this, or you can get what we call cornflakes, which is this sort of flatter shape, and it all depends on how high it is when you're tipping it, and how much force there is, and how cold the water is, and how hot the metal is as you tip it. It's all these wonderful variations.
It's experimental art.
Yes.
Yeah. And they look like flowers, petals of a flower.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, you could use your imagination.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
really
And if
put
you
the
have a look at
pieces
these,
together.
these are all made with water casting pieces.
There you go.
There's little bits of water casting there that's just fused onto the top.
Yeah. Looks like gum nuts even.
Right? Yeah, and that's the nice thing about water casting too, because it's such a amorphous shape, your imagination goes bonkers. It's like, oh, I see this, and I see it's like looking at clouds. So if everybody sees something different, and one of the cool things about watching somebody come into the shop and have a look at something that I've made that's got a water cast piece on it, is everybody sees something completely different. It's a very unique thing. You can't make the same thing twice. You literally can't make the same thing twice.
Yes.
Every piece you get, this water cast, will be a one-off. Guaranteed. There's no way of doing it any other way.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works.
And I mean, like this is just, you said it's just silver.
This particular
silver?
one, no, I actually used sterling for this one. Fine silver does water cast beautifully. Sterling tends to have a little bit more of a grain.
Okay.
So it's a little rougher and a little more crunchy, and I find it a wee bit more interesting when it comes to
The finished product.
Yeah. And
cool.
also because, we create a lot of scrap when we're working. If I'm making a ring, there's offcuts and filings and shavings. And I'm really focused on sustainability here. I don't want to waste anything. So everything gets recycled. If it's dust and it's mixed up with the sandpaper dust and things like that, or the dust I vacuumed off the floor, that all goes into a plastic bag. At the end of the year, it goes to the refiner. They burn off all the rubbish, and then you're left with the metal.
The precious metals,
but for the clean stuff, the stuff that you cut off, the offcuts, the bits and pieces like that, they can all be melted down and turned into something else. And that way, the metal is constantly being reused.
Yes.
And you can remelt silver and reuse it probably 2-3 times before it really needs to go back to the refiner and then be realloyed and re-refined.
Okay, wow. So you could potentially make a piece of jewellery 4 times with the same bit of silver before it's losing some structural integrity or things like that.
And that's something that I do. If I have a piece that hasn't sold in, say, 2 years, I'll break it down into its component parts and reuse it. Yeah, cool. Absolutely. Nothing gets wasted.
Yeah, amazing. And what about these cool rings here? What's going on there?
This is going back to my passion of natural stuff. So these are made of a mixture of wood. This is just plain wood, this beautiful, deep...
Stunning,
This is cocobolo. It's an absolutely gorgeous wood. And then it has cocobolo.
Never heard of that.
Beautiful, deep grain. Absolutely delicious.
Green there.
Yeah, and it comes in colours from sort of an orange almost up into these deeper shades, depending on where it comes from in the tree.
So cooling and smooth. And
they're incredibly comfortable to wear. And if you're the sort of person who reacts to metal jewellery, most of the time it's a nickel sensitivity that does it, so cheap and cheerful jewellery will do it. But some people react to copper and some people react to silver and can't wear it. So if you're sensitive to jewellery, an organic substitute like this is pretty good. You can seal the tiny bits of silver that would be in contact with your skin.
Yes. And
then the wood is the thing that's sitting in contact with your skin most.
I love it. It's very nice. Very unique. Never seen a ring like that.
That's the nice thing about those. You do a different shape every time. And this guy... Yeah, this one's nice. This one is a mixture of wood and resin. And the interesting thing about this is this particular blank, it's about this size, comes from a company in America called the Woodturners Catalogue.
The Woodturners Catalogue.
The Woodturners Catalogue. Love that place. They make, they have beautiful little rare and unusual woods for pens and jewellery and things like this, but they make these wonderful little square blanks like this that are part resin and part burl. So you get this gorgeous pattern from the burl. But the interesting thing about the resin is if you have a look there, you can see a sparkle.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that's diamond dust.
Wow.
So they put diamond dust into the resin.
See that? That's stunning.
Right?
Very nice.
It's absolutely gorgeous. And if you have a look on the inside, you can see all those beautiful greens and blues.
Yeah, all through.
Yeah. And they have a huge range of colours. Blacks, golds and silvers, and the greens and blues and teals and purples and reds and all these wonderful colours. So you can choose what you want to use. But it's gorgeous again to work with. I love the diamond dust. That does it for me. I think it's fantastic. And it's, again,
it's like your base plate is a piece of art, and then you take someone else's piece of art, you make another piece of art.
Exactly.
That's beautiful.
Exactly. And I love that. So yeah, everything out there is usable. But those particular things are great. And they have some lovely, lovely wood. I do have a bit of an addiction to good wood, so I have a stash of yummy bits of rare wood. I've got a 7 million year old piece of podocarp and
wow, very nice.
2,000 year old piece of red river gum and a 9,000 year old piece of red river gum and all these
7 million year old piece of wood?
Podocarp, yeah, from the interior of Australia when Australia was 60 million years younger. Instead of being like it is today, it was like this and further up. And we had 3 massive inland salt sea lakes right in the middle of Australia, which of course is where all our opal came from. As Gondwanaland, was called back then, turned and moved down and warmed up as it headed towards the equator. They dried up. All of the vegetation and silicates and all that sort of stuff melted down through the rock. And they now know that it happened over what they think is a 2-week period where they had a massive rain and it washed the silicates into the rock and then they eventually solidified into opal.
Wow.
But it means still that you can go out into the outback and you'll find deposits of trees that have been sort of like the bog oak that you find in England that were in the mud and preserved as it dried out and is still there. So this piece of podocarp that the tree doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But I've got a block like this of it.
Wow. Yeah.
Fangirl on the Poda Cup. And I've only used one tiny slice for a customer who, they didn't want to exchange rings for when they got married. They wanted pendants. So I carved them both pendants, set it with a diamond on the inside, and the carving design that they wanted, and that's what they wear for their wedding.
Yeah.
And really special. To have something like that, you just won't find it again.
Yeah. I mean, that piece of wood is probably older than some rocks.
Right. Yeah, right.
That's amazing.
Right, certainly older than some ambers and other things that we've got flying around. Yeah, it's amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah. Australia's got some really interesting stuff when you go digging.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it inspires me to want to get out there and find some million-year-old. Yeah, that's really cool. That's very cool.
It's good stuff.
And have we missed anything here?
We've got some rings there.
These ones? What's this cool spinning looking thing?
It is a spinner ring, but the stone spins.
Oh, wow.
So that's a stone spinner.
That's stunning. I love that.
How much fun is that? So that's a mechanical setting. It's riveted through.
Oh, wow.
From the back. But it means, again, that, if you don't want to have a chunk of metal hanging on your hand and you're more interested in the stone, then it's entirely up to you. You can make whatever stone you want, make a donut out of it, set it down through the center, rivet it, and any shape you want, any side, and it just pivots around the inside.
What are the stones?
So that one's unikite.
Unikite?
Yep. It's a beautiful greeny pink stone. Absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
And then the center, I have a nice little red rhodolite garnet.
Lovely. And this is silver with copper.
Yeah.
And silver again.
Exactly. Because of that wonderful pinky salmon color, the copper picks it up really well. So I used a little tiny copper disc there. The rest I did in silver.
No, this is beautiful. Love this.
It's fun. I love those guys.
Very nice. I know a lot of people who have fidget spinners would love a piece of jewelry like this.
Yep. And that was actually kind of what inspired the thought of making it was, I know I do a lot of spinner rings here because people like to play, and this guy's a spinner.
Ah, cool.
And people like to play with them. So, you sit there and fiddle and fiddle and fiddle and fiddle and fiddle, and it's great. But, you can only wear so many spinner rings.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I've got 10 digits there. I suppose I could wear more. But this gives them a narrower band, but something they can still play with.
Yes. And
whereas
very
the spinner
classy.
rings tend to be quite wide.
Yeah.
Just because of the nature of the beast. Pardon me.
And
so that one is also from the spinner family. So that one is a little tighter, so it doesn't spin too much.
Okay.
Because I didn't want that guy to move too much, but the spinner sits underneath the stone.
I can see that now.
So this guy's the same. Spinner sits underneath the stone, and it sits as a bridge over the top, so that way you can put a faceted stone in and have a plainer band.
Oh, wow.
And have it spin around if you want it loose. These two stones were a little deeper, so if I'd wanted them to spin loose, I would have had to make the setting higher, and I didn't want to do that. So they're a little firmer, and I'm just using the contrast of color. This is gold-filled wire, 14 carat gold-filled wire. So a little bit more reasonable.
Yes.
Won't tarnish. So it's good to go.
That's important, yes.
It's important, yeah. And again, it goes back to that acid level in your skin. You want to make sure that you can wear it without it going dodgy halfway through the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then these guys are waxes that I have carved.
Cool.
So those guys were both done from a wax and cast.
Oh, look at that.
And this is what it looks like before it's cast, and then send it to the casting company.
So this...
Different one. This isn't the mold. This is the original.
Again,
yeah.
So
with these guys, I always do one-offs.
This mold, then you'll make you'll make this
wax.
The wax, and then you'll make a mold out of that.
If I'm going to reproduce it. So most of the time with these sorts of ones, like the bigger guy, I'll do those as one-offs because they take time. It's going to cost a little bit more.
Yes.
It takes a little bit of time, 6 hours or so to carve something like this. Whereas something a little bit simpler like that you can customize and change and put a little stone in there or put a stone here, and you can inscribe it, do all sorts of things on that. That one's worth taking a mold of, and then I can cast it again if somebody wants something similar. I will always change it up a bit so they never look the same.
Yes.
I've got a bit of a thing about that. I figure if you're buying handmade, it should be unique.
Yeah, once off.
Yep.
Yeah.
So usually when I'm casting or carving for casting and molding, it'll be components. So things that I'm going to reuse over and over again that are used to put together something unique rather than the actual piece itself.
Yes.
Because, you know,
everyone wants to
they all want their own thing.
They'll never see it.
Yeah, you don't want to see it walking down the street towards you on somebody else's hand when you've spent, you know, $600 on a stone or on a piece of jewellery. Same thing with the carving. I don't reproduce the patterns.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. I mean, that's real art, really. I mean,
keeps my little brain from getting bored as well.
Good.
Yeah, I love it.
And this, the chain.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about
So most of these pieces, when they're sort of the middle range price range, nearly every jeweler out there will put them on what we call a hanging chain. And it's silver plated or silver filled or something like that. It's not usually a high value chain. Most people out there have got their own chains.
Yes.
And they're going to swap things around. So there's no point in charging them extra for something that they already have at home and that they're going to be using. If it's a higher ticket item, then I'll put on a sterling silver chain or a gold chain or whatever matches with the piece I've made.
Yes.
And of course, there's always the option if people want a sterling silver chain with it, then I'll pop one on for them, but it is an added cost. Most of the time, unless you're buying massive amount of chain, I don't get it cheaper than you can buy it down at Prouds or Michael's or Angus and Coote or so it's not worth it for them.
And it's usually interchangeable. Usually most people have some sort of chain or a couple of chains that they've grown up with.
Absolutely.
And it's the pendants and the earrings.
That's exactly it.
Mixing and matching. So that's really cool.
Yeah, chains tend to end up being sentimental. You know, they're passed down from the family. I've got 6 or 7 chains from mum that, I'll keep forever. And things get moved on those and moved off those, but they stay the same.
That's awesome. And I guess, how hard is it for a student to learn how to make some of these things? What would be sort of the easier things for students to start with?
Easiest thing to start with would be something like these earrings here or this ring. Okay. And this is a stack of 4. Very simple little band. Takes minimal time. Yeah, it's fun, isn't it?
That's beautiful.
So we've got bronze and brass, and then fine silver with bronze and pure silver there too, just on a sterling band.
That looks really nice.
And it's a cute little set. You can stack it up as high as you want. Put it around another ring if you want to frame it on something else. But something like this is really easy to make.
Yes.
From scratch, starting from raw materials and working your way through. And a brand new beginner who's never picked up these tools before would do it in the day class with me, and it'll be done.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And when you've done this for a while, you'll have it done in an hour.
Well, there you go. So if you want to come down and learn how to make this beautiful piece of jewellery, well, you might be able to get it done in a day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much, Storm, for taking the time to share a very small snippet of your collection, I think. And you have amazing things all around here. And I encourage everyone who is in Melbourne to come down to Gilded Poppy Makery and check out the amazing jewellery available here. And also, if you'd like to learn a little bit about making jewellery, I know, most people would absolutely be honoured to have a piece of jewellery that their partner or a loved one made for them. So if you'd like to take even a day or two out of your busy schedules and come down and learn to make even a piece of jewellery like this, I think you're not going to sleep in the doghouse tonight.
Oh, no. Oh, no. No, you will be flavour of the month. Telling you that now. Yeah. Doing something quick today.
Okay.
I thought we'd have a bit of a play with fine silver, because fine silver has this wonderful property, like fine gold, where you can fuse it. You don't have to solder it. So with sterling silver, you need the solder because the molecules don't reach across and grab each other. You have to put solder in between. So then you heat up the metal that's surrounding it. The solder melts, it slides in between the molecules and creates a solid bond. So it's not stuck together like glue and paper.
Yes.
With fine silver or fine gold, however, when you reach at that melting point, as long as it's touching and it has some pressure pointing towards it, those molecules suck across and create a fused seam. So you can get some lovely clean piece is made just by fusing, rather than having to solder and see a solder seam and clean it up and yada, yada, yada.
Yes.
It can take time. So if you want to make if you're going out to dinner and you decided you want to make yourself a quick little trendy pendant, then in a couple of minutes you can do that. So
Amazing.
what we're going to do is, I've got a piece of fine silver wire here. This is 1.8 millimeters thick.
Okay.
Very soft. Have a feel.
Oh yes,
Really
very
soft.
malleable. Cool.
Yes. So what I've done is I have filed the ends there so they're nice and flush and they
Yes.
will touch, but what I've got to do now is create some pressure. So I'm going to go past the point where it's going to sit, and if you listen really carefully, it'll snap back into place. And that tells me that there's some inward pointing pressure that'll hold while I heat it,
Yes.
and then I will fuse it together. So that guy now has no gaps.
Yes. Yep. Perfect.
It's nice and close, and I'm going to heat it up with my torch and fuse it together. Now this is a little guy, this torch. Normally I'd probably use something just a little bit bigger. So it'll take a sec, but it'll get there. You just want to stay equidistant away from the piece. You don't want that nice bright blue cone that I've got there to be touching.
Okay.
It's not a good
That's what
spot.
I can see. There's
Yeah.
about a half a centimetre to a centimetre away
Bingo.
from the ring itself.
That's
from where the blue
exactly it.
finishes. But of course
Exactly
there's
it.
an orange part that's touching it.
Yes. And that orange flame develops when the metal is starting to get up to temperature. It's the metal outgassing, reacting with the gas of the torch. Now you'll see that there's a slight pink cast to the metal now. Very, very slight, starting to change colour. And that's telling me that it's warming up.
So you shouldn't just focus on one area.
Oh,
You
no.
go all the way around.
And you have to with silver, because silver is the most horrific heat sink. It will just suck. If I just focus here where the seam is, it'll suck all the heat around to the colder part and it will not join. But if you heat the thing up evenly so that the heat's got nowhere to go other than where you concentrate on it, then you can get it done. Here is an orca torch. And the same butane filler as what we had before, but the top has an oxygen adjuster and then just runs off butane. Exactly the same as, there we go, use that one to light it. Now, listen, heat up a lot faster, but it's a really nice torch to use. Now I'm moving a little bit faster with this because it's got more heat. I don't want to melt anything other than where I'm going to be fusing. See how fast that is?
Wow,
Bang,
liquid.
done. And then as it starts to solidify, you can see that the seam is completely gone. So now,
Beautiful.
as soon as you hear that, whoosh, it's cold.
Yep.
Yeah, you do that, you're going to be in trouble. So now we have a solid, so it's not stuck together, it's actually fused.
together.
So it's one solid piece of metal.
Fantastic.
So once we do that, what we want to do is shape it. Make sure that it's dry. You don't want to rust your stuff. It's a pain in the butt to have to clean that all the time.
Yes.
Now these guys are just nail buffing blocks, but they're really good for just getting rid of any surface scratches. This one is 150 grit, yellow is 220, and then you've got these little guys which are 400 and then 4,000. So
wow.
that will actually bring it up to a mirror shine. And when I'm just doing a quick and cheerful, then those things work absolutely perfectly.
So you will do this before you shape it or anything like that? Okay.
Yeah, every step of the way, you want to pre-polish, 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 pre-polish.
So the finished product is nice and smooth.
Bingo.
Okay.
And on something like this, that's a simple shape that we're going to put a couple of little elements on, it's not all that important to pre-polish in every step, though I encourage people to do that because it's a great habit to get into. But if you're making something like this, for example, if I don't pre-polish in between those steps, by the time I assemble everything together,
It's too hard to polish.
I can't get in there.
Yes.
You can't get into all those cracks and crevices. It's just too difficult.
Yes.
So see how it's not quite sitting straight? Right. Rawhide mallet.
Your favourite.
Hey! Nothing like a bit of a hammer. And then I'm going to take some flat nose pliers. And you'll see here there's just a very slight bulge. So what I'm going to do is give that a little bit of a squeeze and reshape it so it's a little bit more even. Just a tiny bit more. Now I've got a nice oval. So that's my base shape. What I'm going to do now is have a look at where I'm going to put my elements. Now these are just water castings that I've made previously. And what I'm going to do is just lean them up there on that, and I might just put a couple of little bronze granules positioned on there, and then I'm going to heat the whole lot together. Because these are sterling and this is fine, I can't fuse them down easily. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of solder.
Okay.
So the first thing I'll do...
There you go, we've got an idea of fusing, now we're going to
go to soldering. Yes. So this is flux. Now flux has a couple of jobs. Its main job is to allow the solder to flow. So wherever you put flux, the solder will flow.
Okay.
If you don't flux, solder's not going to flow.
Okay.
It'll ball up and just look at you and laugh and laugh and laugh, and it won't do anything else.
Okay.
The second thing that it does do, which is really handy, is it does put a slight coating on your metal and protect it from the heat, just for a little bit, which is really, really good. Because if you're taking a bit of time to get something up to heat, you can overheat your metal, and you don't really want to do that. So that's where your flux comes in handy. Wing, little bugger, ready to go. There he is. Hang on, let me put my magnifiers down so I can actually see what I'm doing. Oh, look at that vision. Who would have thunk it? So these are little pieces of solder. And at the moment, because I'm only going to do it as a single piece, single fire, I'm using easy solder, which has the lowest melting point of the three main solders. And those, of course, are easy, medium, and hard. Hard is the highest melting point. So if I'm making rings or cuffs or something that's going to take some structural banging and crashing, I'll go for a hard solder. Higher temperature means the molecules in the metal part more, the solder sinks in deeper, you get a stronger bond. If I'm doing earrings or something light, then I can just quite simply use a medium or an easy solder, which has a lower melting temperature. The molecules only move a bit. There's a bit of a sink in from the solder, but not huge. And that doesn't matter if there's no structural stress on the piece.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to put this little guy on top of there.
So you don't need to heat it or anything at this stage?
Nope,
just
don't need to heat
it
it.
where it needs
Just place it. Yep. What you can do is sweat the solder down. Actually, let's show you that because that is kind of cool. I'm going to sweat the solder down first, which means melt it into place. Whoops, stay. Okay, move that out of the way. And that will hold it in place so that when I lean something on top, I'll just remelt it. So if you look at the flux, it'll go white and crystally, and then it'll go back to clear and glassy. Clear and glassy tells me it's getting close to melting temperature. There we are at the glassy stage now. And now the solder's going to melt. Here it goes. There we go. So now the solder's melted. Just enough to stick. That'll do. And now I can take this little puppy, lean him up here. Let's put a little bit more flux on top of that. Nice and hot. And stick another little piece of solder just on there. Melt that down while I melt that down, and then I'll plonk the other guy on top. Oh, wrong one. Try that again.
Cool.
Alrighty. So again, got to heat the whole thing up. And there's the solder, and the solder's melted underneath.
Cool.
There it is. So that's on now. So pick that up and give it a quench. That cools it down. Nice thing about these vermiculite blocks is they'll heat up quickly, but they also cool down quickly, which is really nice because it means you can place things without anything overheating and having to wait too long. All right, so that's got a tiny bit of solder in there. I'm going to melt it and then reheat this little guy. And once that's attached, the stick it all together. There he goes. So now the solder's melted in the center. Put a little bit more flux on so that it flows again when I want it to. And we'll put a little bit of flux in there. I do love this paste flux. There's a couple of different varieties of flux. There's paste flux and there's liquid flux.
See, this is paste flux.
This is paste. It tends to last a little bit longer, so it protects your metal a wee bit more. If you're doing something really quick and simple, then you can use liquid flux, but it burns off pretty fast. And you want to make sure that it's going to stick around long enough that you're going to get the job done. Alrighty, let's get that melted down and then we'll put it all together. I'm going to stick another little bronze granule on the big guy there. Now I'm staying back a little bit because I want that flux to dry. See it bouncing around? Yeah. That's the water evaporating off. Once it stops bubbling, you can get in closer and it'll
melt on.
Stay in place. Yeah.
There we go. And the flux makes it spread out evenly or something?
It does. It lets it flow. There it goes.
Yeah. All shiny.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to take that guy and that will go back on. Actually, you know what? There's still probably enough flux on there for me to do this. So let's plonk that there.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And I'm going to take another little tiny silver granule and stick that there. This guy is going to go and live on here. Come here, you. And then that guy.
Darkened up a bit since.
Yeah, that's that oxidization we've been talking about. Might have to hold this puppy in place.
On the solder?
Yeah, I think so. All right, so we're going to do this manually.
Okay.
Holding it in place, which is also a handy technique. All right, let's get that flux back on there. Put this guy. And put down another little piece of solder. These are very, very fine little pieces. I'd much rather have small pieces that melt quickly so they can get the job done, rather than a big piece that takes ages to melt. And then, of course, you run the risk of overheating your piece.
Yeah. And too much solder hanging out the sides.
Oh my God, and then you got to clean it up. And that's just a pain in the patootie. And of course, with silver, if you overheat it, you get a condition called fire scale, and it's where the copper content of the sterling bubbles up to the surface because it's overheating and leaves tiny little microscopic pits in the surface of the material. And the problem with that is you don't see it until you start to polish.
Oh.
And then when you do, dear Lord, it's a pain in the patootie. Come here, you. Because it leaves a god-awful mess. And you can't polish it out, you have to grind it out. And she's in.
Beautiful.
So now, that will go into the quench. And you're left with a nice little pendant that will stick into the pickle. That will get rid of any of the oxidization. You'll get your little gold granule in the center. You see how the silver hasn't really oxidized because it's fine silver. It's just the base metal part that's oxidized and the little bit of sterling that was on that. So that will go into the pickle now. And in about 30 seconds time, it'll be ready for a quick polish.
Oh, it's...
So I'll chuck this in here. It does the trick. This one's getting nice and blue now, which means I'll have to change it soon. And I'm looking forward to that because I need some more used up pickle. The nice thing about used up pickle is if you're making something in copper, we usually use silver solder because it's stronger. But if you're making it in copper, of course, it leaves a silver line. And if you take your old pickle and you put a little bit of steel wool in it and you heat it up, it turns it from a pickling solution into a plating solution, and it'll cover up the silver solder zinc.
Oh.
So I always keep my old pickle hanging around. So that's taken off.
To use as plating?
Yep. Cool. So if I'm doing something that's a combination of metals and I want to hide the solder, all right, so there's most of the oxidization gone. Now the pinky color from the bronze is the copper content of the bronze rising to the surface as you heat it. So you see how it's gone, it looks like it's copper now. So what we're going to do is grab my flex shaft and I'll put on a 3M bristle disc. The one I've got on at the moment is for polishing. So we're going to go back to a tougher one and we'll go back to a 80 grit. That's a little yellow guy. And this will start to burnish it up.
Very nice.
Right. And that's where this beautiful two-tone starts to come out. Now there's one more thing that I would do with this pendant once it's fully polished, and that's give the oval part of it a bit of a hammer. And what that'll do is work harden the metal, because at the moment it's been exposed to heat. It's at its softest and most malleable, which is lovely when you're working, but no good when you want to wear it, because if you grab it or pull it or catch it on something, it'll just pull it out of shape. So what I'm going to do now, gets most of the oxidization off and makes it nice and pretty. Alrighty. That's the one I want. Give that a little bit of a buff. Just a little bit of scratching there, so I'm going to go to a rougher one.
No. Good thing your nails look good.
Right? Man, I found the best place in Eastlands.
Ah, beautiful.
Yeah, they do a nice massage, which is good because my thumb joint, after all this sort of work, starts to get a bit sore. And they're one of the few places I found that will do a good hand massage. So I come out of there feeling like I've been to the spa. It's wonderful. Also, nails.
It would hurt in here and stuff for you, like all in through.
Yeah, don't feel it so much in the muscle, but the joint. And that, unfortunately, is a very common thing for people with my bloodline. So people whose bloodline go back to the Vikings, the axe throwing created a weakness in the thumb joint. So most of us will have some sort of issue with the big toe joint and the thumb joint. And it's been traced back to that
Axe throwing.
axe throwing.
That's pretty cool.
Now I want to know if maybe the Native Americans had it too, with their tomahawks, because they used to chuck axes.
Smaller axes.
Smaller axes, yeah. All right, so now we've got a nice satin finish. I'm going to take the pink side of that, which is 400. So I've gone 150, 220,
400.
400,
And then 4,000.
and then 4,000.
On the black side, the one that's got a lot of polish.
There we go. Squeak.
Oh, look at that.
See, it brings it up.
Coming up.
Yeah. So you can leave this satin if you want the contrast, and I kind of like that actually. So what I'm going to do now is just work harden it very slightly. Leave it on there, and I'm going to use a small hammer. This one's a goldsmith's hammer. Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's a company called Frets. It's the it's the hammer of choice.
Okay.
Love my Frets hammers. But it's got a very slightly curved face, and all I'm going to do is very lightly tap, very lightly. Don't need to do it hard, but what this will do is compress those molecules and lock them together. It's a crystalline structure. Fine silver tends to be a bit amorphous. Sterling silver, very linear thanks to the copper. But what this does is locks all those molecules into place and toughens up the metal. Same thing we do to earring wires when we're making them. Otherwise your earring wires are so soft they just deform the first time you use it. Now I kind of like the hammer finish, so I probably won't polish to get rid of any of the hammer marks that I'm doing, and if anything, because of the shape, you can take an embossing hammer, which is this little guy here, and trail that pattern up. So I'll start down here and very gently texture up one side, and then spread it out a little bit, and then you have a piece that's got the granulation, pulls the texture up and then fades out.
Yeah, very nice.
Nice and simple. And just give it one more polish over with the bright side. And there in 10 minutes, you've got yourself a pendant that you can now pop on a chain and wear out.
Wonderful. Great job. Thank you for
Simple and
showing us
easy.
that.
You are most welcome.
Well done. Beautiful.
And made out of scrap, which is even better.
Excellent.
So, yeah, it's all made out of scrap.
And this is, of course, the water drop,
Exactly.
the term.
Water casting.
Water casting,
Yeah.
that's the one.
That's exactly it, water
Fantastic.
casting.
And there you have it, guys. So come down to Gilded Poppy Makery, get making your own, and start your journey with, making jewelry and making yourself happy.
Absolutely. Yep. Slow craft, my loves. Slow craft for a calm heart.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You were telling me about how you're playing with the rubies and the fire, you were learning, and I guess in terms of running the business, right? It's obviously an industry that's more niche, and the demands of the consumers and the customers in the market,
Absolutely.
are ever changing, and students. Do you have a consistent flow of students coming in for your classes, and in terms of the items you make, how do you manage the changing trends of what kind of earrings someone wants, or do you not bother about trends?
I don't.
Yes.
No, that's a really, really good question, because when you consider starting a business like this, any creative business, but especially jewelry, it's really, really easy to think that you need to appeal to everybody. And it's probably, as a business owner, one of the biggest mistakes you can make, because you cannot be everything for everybody. And the reality is that as a small business owner, I will never be able to compete with the prices that someone can put on their stock if they're ordering it pre-made from Indonesia or India or China, wherever it's coming in from. So chasing that market is a complete waste of time, and it's not where my strengths are.
Yeah, it's not where your passion is.
It's not. And I started this because I needed to be doing something that fed my soul.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I wanted to pass that passion on to everybody else. And we're losing a lot of our slow craft.
Very happy.
Exactly.
Very happy with they feel beautiful.
Yes.
Everything. So
it's such a multifaceted thing, and especially for one of the things I focus on here very strongly is everybody, but specifically women who are going through transitions. And a lot of this thought process was kicked off with me last year when I got breast cancer, and it really pulls you up short. And I was lucky, mine was caught early, so minimal surgery, minimal radiation treatment, and it still clear. I'll hold that thought. Thank you. One year down, the rest of my life to go, but yeah, it really made me think about. It was shocking, you know that 1 in 3 women are going to get it here. It's still shocking when you get it.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about, health transitions, or the simple transition of going from a mum to an empty nester, or going from fully employed, especially if you're working corporate, in that very strong and hustle mindset, and then suddenly being retired. These transitions are really difficult.
Absolutely.
And the older we get, the less support there is for people going through these transitions.
Yeah, you should be able to get through it.
Yeah.
You haven't been through enough, but it never gets easy.
No, it doesn't. So slow craft, whether it's slow food, slow clothing or fashion, slow jewelry, anything that you have to do from raw materials and take through to a finished product slows you down. Your breathing slows down. Your cortisol response backs off. Your blood pressure drops, because you're pulling everything in and focusing on one quiet thing. So as your system settles, as you're working, soaring or manipulating or doing tiny fine work, all of your automotive responses are relaxing.
Wow.
So the two things that we get mostly out of that is health-wise. Without the cortisol response, we're not getting the inflammation. So there's research shows a lower incidence of stroke, heart attack, the inflammatory diseases, cancer, things like that, if you're involved in a slow craft.
Wow.
Because of the way it changes the physiology. And the other thing too is for people who are at that point where they no longer know who they are and they don't trust who they are and they're trying to rediscover who they are now as opposed to who they were 20 years ago before they had kids or whatever, that sensation of making something from nothing through to a finished item that looks like it's come out of a shop is incredibly rewarding. And every time you finish a project, it just reminds you that you can do anything you damn well want. And you're capable of anything you damn well want to do. So that, the vehicle with the jewellery, I love the jewellery. I love the making it and that whole process, getting my hands grubby. However, the rewards that come are so much more than just a pretty piece of bling. So much more. And it's been incredibly therapeutic for me to be part of everybody else's journey as they're working their way through.
Well, I've never met anyone who knows as many techniques of jewellery making as you, and I'm making it my business to meet people like that.
I want to know them all.
It's amazing. And even just looking around your workshop, there's so many different tools and things I have no idea about, but it all looks like it's all been used as well.
Well, yeah. I don't think there's a technique that I've come across that I haven't wanted to learn. And,
that's amazing. I mean, that's how else can you learn? And how can you mix techniques together and create new techniques?
That's exactly it.
And know which technique is good for one and not the other.
And knowing that you'll never know everything is incredibly freeing. There's never going to be a time where I know everything. Yeah. And that's awesome.
Often, as we learn more things, we realize, there's a whole gamut of this that I don't even know. Right? Now I know one of it.
But now I'll never be bored. Yeah. The rest of my life, I will never be bored.
Yeah.
And if I can bring that joy to somebody else.
And I feel
fantastic.
Those are some of the greatest, dopamine hits ever.
Yes. And it's free dopamine.
When you discover, oh my God, there's a whole section of knowledge regarding something I'm passionate about that I can explore.
Absolutely.
It's like straight away dopamine hit of the future potential of going through this exploration.
Yeah.
So that's
and you can learn from everybody. Like we were talking about before, beginner, intermediate, advanced. There's 100 ways to do something from A to B. I could say, come and do a spinner ring class with me. And every man and his dog who does jewellery knows how to make a spinner ring. We all do spinner rings, but we'll all do them slightly differently. Maybe I've got a stiff shoulder, so I hold my tools slightly differently, or I've got a bad back, so I need to change my ergonomics, which changes how I teach. So a million ways to get to there. One way to do it safely, and that I don't compromise on. Safety first, first. No two ways about it.
Yep, absolutely, especially with. I just learned.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some very strict guidelines here. When you turn up, closed-toed shoes, natural fibre clothing. If you've got longer hair, tie it back, And if not, I've got a packet of hair bands here and I'll tie it back for you.
Beautiful.
That's, once you've got that out the way and you can be safe, you can relax. And we are playing with fire. Things are sharp. And if we fumble and they're hot, they fall down. So, get the safety as a habit, and then everything else, find out how it works for you. Learn the technique here, and then discover which way works best for you.
Yeah, and what are currently with your students that you do teach, could you share with us not only some of the experiences you've had, but also the entire gamut of what you do teach?
Lots. I was going through my filing cabinet the other day when I was sorting out some of the student handouts I've got there, and I've got over 150 individual classes.
Wow.
And then of those, many of them have multiple levels. So going back to the spinner ring, so level 1 is just your normal everyday spinner ring with a piece of metal that whizzes around, your fiddle ring. And then the next level has a stone set on the spinner. And then the third level has the main ring, which has a bridge that goes over the top, and there's a faceted stone and the spinner runs underneath the bridge. And then there's another level where the stone's set from the outside and there's granules put onto it and the spinner runs between those. And then so each one takes the fundamental skills, long line soldering, forming and shaping, and then adds. Now you have to do stone setting. And then That's normal everyday plain bezels then. It's faceted stone setting, so you need to know how to drill the seat and then set it there. Calculating sizes and heights and making sure everything's still moving, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So each time it reiterates those basic skills and then builds on them. So while up until this point, I've been doing individual classes, now I'm looking at teaching arcs so that I can take fundamental skills for those people who want to come and do it for more than just a fun project in a day. I have 6 or 7 students that have been with me now for 5 years. 2 of them are now making jewellery as their business as well.
Wow, that's so rewarding.
I love. Yeah, love it. I've got a few back in the States who are doing it now as their business too, which just makes my little heart sing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
because it's not easy.
No.
People can give up. Things are challenging when you're learning, but you need good mentors, good teachers to keep you on the right track.
And that's it. It's the mentors. Yeah, I volunteer at my local lapidary club, and
this is at Nunawading.
Nunawading, yes, the Nunawading Lapidary Club. God, I love that place.
Yeah.
And I go there on my days off. So on my 2 days off, I'm down there at the lapidary club in the jewellery room helping out whoever needs it, and I teach down there a couple of times a month, and just for free. I give back to the club.
Too much.
Man. Right? My days off, I'm still doing this. It is. It's my passion as well as my business, and I'm very, very lucky.
Isn't it very lucky to be able to do something? You wake up every day and you're like, oh, I'm actually going into something I want to do.
Yeah. I was 50 before I got there. So, there's no age limit on finding your passion. 50, 80, who cares? Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yep, absolutely.
And never be afraid to adapt and change if things aren't.
And
if you're not happy with your current situation or what you're doing, you can always. I mean, it's not easy. As you said, transition's hard.
Yes.
The best thing is to pick up some skills.
That's it.
Slowly transition.
That's it.
To realize, maybe I do like this, or maybe I like this.
And we're not taught to sit in discomfort. And there's a difference between discomfort and pain. Discomfort, is just a little,
it's your growth zone.
I'm not happy with that. It's your growth zone. Pain is something wrong. That's a good message to, okay, let's just change this.
And I think fundamentally we need to realize, I think we search for comfort zone and create comfort zones around our life so much that we forget to, sort of go outside of it.
And we block ourselves in.
Yeah. Because it is comfortable, it's very comfortable to do the things you're used to doing and not explore new ideas and sort of be vulnerable to make mistakes.
Yes. And that's one of the things that we love here. If somebody stuffs up, people cheer and laugh and clap, and we have a great time because then you get more out of the class. Not only do you learn what went wrong, how to do it right, but then you learn how to fix it. So you're getting triple out of the class. It's not a good class if somebody doesn't stuff up.
If you didn't learn from it.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's exactly it. No such thing as a mistake.
When one person has a question or makes a mistake, it's often the whole group of them that was too afraid to ask.
Right. Yeah, that happens a lot.
So,
yes, there's nothing wrong with a good stuff up. We like those here.
Fantastic.
We like those.
And I guess, how often do you run your classes?
So this year, I've been doing a lot of extra study. So going back to that question you had earlier about how the business is flowing, up until probably about the middle of last year, when the rates started to rise and people started to feel the pinch. It's tough here.
Yes.
Well, everywhere globally, but it's tough in Australia at the moment.
Yeah, utilities, everything is getting...
Everything has gone through the roof.
Proportionately.
Yes. Yeah. And there's less and less disposable income. So while my classes are probably amongst the least expensive in Melbourne, that's still a chunk of change. And you need to respect the fact that that's people's income. And not only that, it's their time. It's the one resource we never get back is their time. But up until the middle of last year, I had more classes than I could swing a stick at. So I was teaching 5 days a week. And then down at the club for the other 2. And then about the middle of last year, it started to slow down a little bit.
Yes.
And then it was 4 days a week, and that was okay through to the end of the year. And then this year, I realized that if I wanted to keep doing this, then I couldn't fluff around like I had always done and just let it happen.
I don't think this all came together by fluffing around though.
This was just like, okay, this is how I do it, and so it happened. But it was pure fluff because that's how my mindset was.
How long have you been in this particular location?
I signed the lease on here 2 weeks before lockdown.
Oh, wow. Perfect timing for you.
Oh, immaculate. So I'd moved all my stuff in and then suddenly get told that you can't come to the workshop. It's like,
Brilliant. Thank you for that.
darn it. Oh, so luckily I already had some students I'd been teaching at community centres for the previous year. And they did online classes with me until the lockdowns stopped, and then we were back in here. And now this year, because I've been doing a lot of extra study, I went back to, at the grand old age of 58, back to school with a business academy, a jeweler's business academy in the UK. And I'm doing a year-long business course with them, and we're just covering everything: marketing, branding, socials, all the stuff that I'd never really spent a lot of time learning because I didn't need to.
Yes.
I had plenty of people coming in and I didn't need to, but now, the world changes.
Yes.
And it's important to, while I won't follow trends, be aware, read the room. If people are having fun on TikTok, have fun on TikTok. If people are having fun on Insta, have fun on Insta. You just, if you want to find your niche, then you need to go where your niche is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, are you currently using those platforms?
I am.
Beautiful, to promote the business.
I am.
How's that going?
It's good. Yeah, it's good. I love Insta because I love the aesthetic of it.
Yes.
But I've
It's
just
ideal
started.
for your business.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, because it's all about the beauty and the aesthetic and the presentation, and then being there for people to see what's going on. But I love the immediacy of TikTok. I love the fact that it's not structured. It's like, come and have a look over my shoulder while I'm doing this, and it's real, and you can't make it pretty. It just is.
Yes.
And I love that because that's how I like to work.
Yes.
I can't be bothered trying to be anything I'm not.
So Instagram's like the finished product, and
Yes.
YouTube is the making of.
Yes. So that's one thing I still have to do, is get the YouTube channel up, and then I'll be putting free classes up there and all that sort of bizzo. But I love the immediacy of TikTok. So just starting to dive into that one. Insta I've had for a while, and Facebook.
Yes, beautiful.
But it's interesting.
And how has technology sort of changed your business over the years and influenced your business?
And that's actually a really good question too, because traditionally when you look at jewellery making, we're still using tools. Admittedly made of better materials, but using tools that, if you look at a jeweler's workbench from 700 years ago, there's not a hell of a lot of difference to what you'd find if you went into my workstation there.
Okay.
Not a lot.
Oh.
And we're still using the same shape workbench. It's still at the same height, something around here. So you feel like the toddler at the big boy table because it keeps your back straight.
Yes.
So you can work looking across your work rather than turning into Igor.
Yeah.
And the
That's
hammers
a very
are the same.
important factor.
Incredibly important. Like
You don't
anything.
realise it till later. You just
no. And I've met way too many people who didn't understand the ergonomics and have been doing this for years, and now have RSI and back issues and eye issues, and the wrist especially, because if you're soaring at the wrong height, there's this huge strain on your wrist rather than keeping everything dropped and relaxed. It's all about ergonomics. So that's one of the things that I teach here. First thing, walk into my place, learn it. Safety first. Yeah, you got to sit in this meat suit for the next 80 years, It's got to still be going. And it's important.
Amazing. And I mean, in terms of sort of your tools that you use, what would you say is the most important tool? You're stuck on a tropical island and you need to, you only get one tool. Either you identify it or you carve it, but you can only choose one tool. What are you going to choose?
Okay, so do I have a knife?
Let's say you have a knife.
Okay, good. So then I don't have to worry. Because normally, you'd need a blade of some sort to cut the wood. So if I've already got the knife, I can pretty much whittle anything with that. It would have to be a rawhide mallet.
Rawhide mallet? That's
a rawhide mallet,
That's your go-to must-have.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Every job I do, I will use a rawhide mallet.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, because if you hit metal with a metal hammer onto metal while it's sitting on a metal thing, it squashes it. It's like putting a rolling pin on dough.
Yes.
It compresses it and squashes it, and that's how you get your textures, which is great. But if you just want to shape it, so if you've got your piece of metal and you just want to shape it into a band, you don't want to squash it because you'll make it bigger. It'll stretch.
Yeah.
You just want to shape it, and that's where the rawhide mallet comes in. So it'll flatten metal, it'll shape it, it will do all sorts of things. multi-purpose. I use it to roll out wire to make it straight, and there's all sorts of things you can do with it. So that would be my go-to.
Awesome. You know, you don't get to see a lot of women in business or women in sort of silversmithing business and this kind of thing, even though they're very creative and artsy. Can you tell me a little bit about your personal journey and also, you know, how you feel about empowering women to sort of follow in the same sort of footsteps in their passion?
Yeah, that's a big thing for me this year. And along with, you know, working with women in transition, apart from the year-long course that I'm doing with this academy in the UK, I have been incredibly lucky to be selected as one of 15 women in Victoria who are part of the inaugural first year of the Empowering Women Entrepreneurs program.
Wow!
And it's been run between the Victorian government and the Eastern Innovation Centre. Shout out to those guys, dear Lord, they're amazing. And sponsored by some really good businesses. And it's a very focused 4 months of mentoring, peer sessions, peer-to-peer, business information, and just networking, and it's really good, because one of the things that we've found is that it's very difficult for women to step into business and be taken seriously.
Okay.
And if you have a look, and I see it in classes, before I even started, you know, doing this as a business, even going to classes, when a woman comes to a metalsmith class, and she could have been doing it for 15 years, and she'll say to somebody, they'll meet at a party or something or other, and what do you do? Oh, I'm a silversmith. Oh, so how long have you had that hobby? And then if you ask a man, then you get, so how long have you had that career? And it's a really interesting subconscious mindset where men have careers, women have hobbies. So it is an issue. There are a lot of women silversmiths out there, and there is not one studio that teaches here in Melbourne that I've found that is not run by a woman.
Wow.
But all you hear about are the male jewelers. And it's a very interesting thing. So you're fighting a bit to be taken seriously. So if women are looking for funding or, you know, from the bank for expansion or something like that, it is an issue and it can become a problem. So you've got to look for those women bankers or someone who's going to be a little bit more receptive, and be very careful with your planning so you don't need to go and look for investment. Reach out, network. Women are good at that. It's one of the things that we connect very easily. So reach out, form a really strong cohort, get into it, make sure that the first thing in your mind is, how can I make their life better? Because doing that's going to make your life better too.
Absolutely.
It's not about getting the sale. That's not it. If you can add value to somebody else's life through your business, no matter what it is, but especially when you're working as a creative, then nobody loses.
Absolutely.
And I've found this incredibly strong community of women entrepreneurs. The spread of, there's one woman who's selling padded toilet seats for handicap places and old people's homes. And there's another one who's making beautiful marshmallow flowers for corporate gifts.
Okay, cool.
And somebody else who's an end-of-life doula. And they're so different, but that drive is the same.
Yes.
Get your business going. Make a strong connection. Learn as much as you possibly can. Lean on the Victorian government. The amount of free business information out there, or sponsored. There's a wonderful, huge. There's a wonderful business here called the Melbourne Innovation Centre. So Eastern and Melbourne are part of the same thing.
Okay.
And at the moment, for $110, you can get 3-hour-long sessions with the mentor of your choice, and they've got about 30 specifically for what you want to know about your business. I came out of it with a chunk of information, and it's there. You just don't hear about it. So look around.
And this is called
That's the Melbourne Innovation Centre.
Centre.
And the program is called Digital Solutions. And guys, seriously, it's something that you really need to have a look at. If you're setting up your business, or even if you're just looking to review your business and reinvent it, or even if you're not sure if you need to, but, you know, you're having to think about how you could do something different, then check them out. Digital Solutions, Melbourne Innovation Centre.
I know it can be very daunting when you're like,
It can.
I love doing this,
Yeah.
but I don't think I could run a business. and
Imposter
deal with
syndrome
all
is
that.
real.
So it's a lot easier, I think, in today's world
Yes.
for us to be able to run a business,
Yes.
to be able to have the right network around
Yes.
us to support the business
Yep.
is very important.
Yep.
But it is a lot easier to get your actual business up
Yes.
and running. You can make a website in 5 minutes these days.
And that's it. And we can sell online now, whereas 20 years ago
People
we
aren't
had to
buying
have a brick
just
and
because you
mortar.
have something to sell anymore.
No.
People are buying into your story,
Yes.
your passions.
And that's what they're looking for. When part of what I've been learning when we were talking about websites, coincidentally, a couple of months ago, was that people have made their mind up before they hit the buy button.
Yes.
They've already gone to your socials. They've already
Yes.
checked out your website. They've already got all the information about you, looked for the reviews. They already know if they're going to buy or not
If they've
before they
arrived at
actually
your
make
website.
contact. Exactly. So it's very different now than what it was even 5 years ago, even 2 years ago.
Yes.
And there are opportunities there. You know?
And that's the thing. I think in a rapidly changing
Yes.
world, and where technologies and industries are always
Yes.
evolving, there's always, there's always opportunities for people
Yep.
to change the way things were done.
Absolutely. And they're wonderful tools, but we've got to remember they're tools. So learn them, become comfortable with the technology, but don't lose your authenticity.
Yeah.
You've
that
got to
can
be
happen.
true.
Yeah.
You can't be anything other than who you are. The people who are attracted to your business and you, and the things that you make and the values that you hold in your business and in yourself, will appreciate that honesty.
Yeah.
It's really easy to duck into AI and make some pretty picture, make it look like it's splendiferous, or see somebody's design on Pinterest and copy it and say,
Yes.
look what I made.
Yes.
We're all creative. We don't need to do that.
Yeah. I think we can change transactional sales.
Yes.
Where we're having to constantly,
Yeah.
follow the trends and
Yep.
follow what other people are doing, or
Yep.
we can follow, we can be customer centric and
Yes,
authentic.
exactly.
And so, yes,
Exactly.
this is all I provide, but
Yep.
if there's something in here for you, I'm
Yeah.
going to revolve around
Absolutely.
making, whatever it is that you want
Absolutely.
as well. So I think, speaking to a lot of business owners in this space as
Yeah.
well, I think people find it very difficult to be able to follow trends and
It's true.
and because at the end of the day you're doing it out of your own passion,
Yes.
not just to be customer centric. You want to be customer centric in how you present it,
Yeah.
but you also want to truly work with what you've
Exactly.
sort of built your passion around. So
And when you're providing a product, it can be very difficult to be reactive enough to keep up with the speed that the trends are changing. And for women who are, and anybody, but for women in particular who are coming into the industry and are looking to have some control over their life, manage their finances. Women my age were never taught to manage finances. I knew nothing about compound interest or all the special savings accounts and none of that was taught to us because we were not expected to need it. So, reach out, find the places where they're like these places I was talking about before, the Melbourne Innovation Centre, Eastern Innovation, that have that information. There's some wonderful people out there now who are providing information for those of us who have started businesses and don't have the background in business studies that we need to do them successfully. But that is the groundwork. You need to understand a spreadsheet. You need to understand profit and loss. You need to know where your money's coming from before you can have a successful business. But don't lose the passion.
yes,
It's
And I think
got to be
that's
the passion.
got to be the
Yes.
most difficult balancing act for creators because creatives typically want to be the visionary. They want to have their head in the clouds, and they often need a partner that's
Yes.
the implementer
Yep.
of those ideas and brings it back down to the real world situation.
And it's flipping hard. So,
it's hard to be both people.
Yeah.
You have to put the
That's it.
visionary hat on in thinking, where am I going with this? And then put your accounting hat on.
That's
and
it.
then you have to put your marketing
And then
hat
your
on.
marketing hat, and then you've got to put your cleaner's hat on, and then you've got to put your psychologist hat on, what are they looking for? And then you've got to put your market researcher's hat on, and who wants to do what? And what do I really need? And then your niche hat, and there are so many
Very
hats.
difficult. But when you have a network
Yes.
of people who specialize in those
Exactly.
things and people who've been through it,
Yes.
it helps a lot.
That's it.
Like you're not alone.
No, and they'll everyone's found ways to help them get through these things. So I was at a co-working session the other day. For me, admin is a pain in the patootie. I hate it. I hate it with an unholy passion. It's not me. I want to be at the bench playing with fire. I do not want to be doing admin. However, I found that if I go over to the Eastern Innovation Centre and sit in one of their co-working sessions, there's usually somebody there who does Pomodoro, which is a system of breaking your workday up into small pieces, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 50 minutes. And, you know, there's soundtracks for Pomodoro things. And so I'm sitting there. I got a ton of work done and a ton of research done in 10 and then 25 and then 50 and then 10 and then 20, just varying it up, taking a 5-minute break, go and get a coffee, go to the bathroom, have a drink of water, hit your timer, down you go again.
Push the reset button to
and
clarify.
For me, it's fantastic because it helps me focus in blocks, because I think I only have to do this for 25 minutes or I only have to do this for 50 minutes, or if it's something I really absolutely hate, eat the frog. You know, do it first thing in the morning. Nobody wants to eat the frog. So before you have your coffee, get up, spend 45 minutes doing what you hate, and then reward yourself with that wonderful cup of coffee and brekkie or whatever you're going to have. But breaking it up into segments and blocks makes it much, much easier to do those things that aren't natural for you.
That you dread, or that you feel it too difficult, or
so be honest with yourself too. Be aware of your strengths and your weaknesses. Know where you need help, and don't be scared to ask for it. Far out, you know, that's half the fun. 99,000 times out of, you know, whatever number comes next, 10, whatever, people are going to want to help. If you reach out and say, you know, how have you got around doing this? They'll go, oh, I found this thing that does yada, yada, yada. And it all helps. Share. Absolutely. Don't keep it for yourself, you know, spread it around.
And I think for people to be able to share that knowledge, you have to ask the questions for them to get that
be curious.
Yeah.
Be eternally curious. There's nothing wrong with being that eternal 6-year-old. Not childish, childlike. Don't lose that curiosity. That's how you learn.
100% agree with you on that one. And I guess what can you tell me about, you know, some of the most challenging customers you've had over the years? That's a tough one that people.
It is.
When you're doing business, it's probably one of the hardest things: challenging employees, challenging customers. And
that's when you stick on your psychologist hat, because when someone is challenging, there's a reason. And, you know, 99 times out of 100, it's not about you or about your stock or about anything else. It's something they're going through, and you need to be sensitive to that. So that's where those questions come in. I remember when I was working in duty free, this would have been 95, 96, somewhere around there. And I was in Sydney at the time and working at a lovely big duty-free place right down by the harbour. And there was a huge medical conference on in Sydney at the time, October conference season. This guy comes in, he's looking for an opal. I worked in the fine opal department, and he's looking for an opal to take home to his wife. And he was angry. You know, he was just peeved, and he was, what's this? This is crap, and this is that, and this is that. And you could tell the guy was just seething. And I thought, hang on, this is not normal. So I sat there and just let it roll off and just popped in a few comments and a few questions. Turns out he'd been at a gynecological conference. He was from Norway, and he'd just been told that here the attitude, this is back then, it's a little bit better now, thank goodness, the attitude here was not to help women who needed terminations for health reasons. And of course, over there, it's like if you have a health issue, then a termination is no problem because it saves the life of the mother. But here at the time, it was still very much save the baby, and if the mother dies, well, unlucky.
I think mother should get some.
And he was ropeable about it because it really hit home for him. So after about a half an hour, he'd softened right down. We had a really good talk, and he bought a beautiful, beautiful boulder opal pendant for his wife, and he walked out happy. And that's my job. Now, you need to understand that if somebody snaps at you, it's not always about you.
100%.
It's not about you. And find out why. If you can make their life easier, great. If you can't, great. you know, you do what you can.
Yeah.
But take a breath, especially if it's something that you feel like you need to react to. Take a breath.
Don't let their energy invade your energy.
No, and understand that you know, most of the time it's not you. Exactly.
Yeah, just them venting.
Yeah, and then the second thing is stand by your guns. If it gets to the point where they are disruptive and they will not back off or calm down, ask them to leave.
Yeah. You also have to have a degree
This
of
is your,
self-respect.
yeah. And I also have a responsibility to my students and my other customers here. This is not a place for that.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's something that I can help them with so that I can be of service to them, great. But if
You only
they
have
won't
those who are looking to be.
that's it. And if they won't let it go, then this isn't the place for them. And I will very kindly ask them to go because I have a responsibility to the rest of my students.
Absolutely.
And that, in all the time I've been doing it, has only happened with 2 students
Okay.
in 18 years. There's only 2 students I've had to ask to leave.
Well, thank you so much for your honesty. I mean, that's. I think it's part and parcel. You know, you're never always going to get the right people in the right seat, and people are still trying to figure that out and where they're going in their lives.
That's it.
There are always personal things that happen, and people have moments, but it's when those moments become habits that affect you.
And we're adults.
Yeah.
It's our responsibility to not kowtow to everybody and make it perfect for everybody else, because that's just as bad. But it is our responsibility to keep control of what we're putting off and to know when it's appropriate and when it's not.
Yes, absolutely.
So, you know, I'll give everybody all of the chances because everybody, you know, needs a place to fall sometimes. But it works both ways. You have to put a boundary up eventually, and I do have a hard boundary on that.
Amazing. And I mean, it's amazing to hear you've been selected to be part of this Women Empowerment.
I'm so excited.
You can share about sort of what their goals are, what you'd like to do with
It's
them.
so exciting. It's, as I said, it's the first year that they've run it. So we're kind of
Lots
crash
of
test
ideas
dummies.
in the air. Yes.
It's gone incredibly well. We're having our graduation next month on the 8th.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to being part of it as an alumni next year when it starts up. So, my beautiful women, if you have an existing business and you want to scale it up, if you have an idea that you haven't started on and you want to get into it, but you're not quite sure where to start and you want some support, the submissions for 2026 are open now. So go to the Eastern Innovation Business Centre website and have a look there and put your name down, because guys, it's so worth it. It is so worth it. The mentors are amazing. The program is incredible, and you'll get a ton out of it. You really get a ton out of it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to being involved as an alumni next year.
And you only regret the things that you don't do, typically.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What's the worst that can happen other than have a bit of fun, you learn a few things.
That's it.
And even if you don't use it for whatever you're thinking of doing right now, you may use that knowledge and network one day in whatever you end up doing.
And, you know, the older you get, the more you realise that that's a real thing. I've got stones that I bought 30 years ago that just sat there because it just didn't feel right to use them. Had to get them, but then didn't feel right. And then I'll have a customer come in. I had one come in a couple of months ago, and he was looking to make an engagement ring for his partner. And he didn't want a diamond. He wanted something different, and he wanted it to be pink. And I had this beautiful pink tourmaline that I'd bought 30 years ago now. And at the time, I had no idea how to set the damn thing. I just wanted the stone. I hadn't learned that skill yet.
You're like, I'll get to this.
And as soon as he walked in, it was like, that stone's for you, you know? And then you know. So that stone came out. I showed him how to make the ring, and he made it for his partner.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it was gorgeous. And it turned out so well. He did a beautiful job. First time he'd ever picked up metalwork, and he did a gorgeous engagement ring. So yeah, things like that. Those are one of those moments.
Very rewarding,
those are one of those moments that were game changers.
Where you see the dots connecting backwards.
Exactly.
At the time.
Yeah. It's that little bright spark that goes, yep, this is the right place, the right time. I'm doing what I need to be doing.
Amazing. So I guess since you love teaching and everything like that, I guess how did your learning journey begin? And, you know, do you hold any qualifications in this industry?
Not stereotypical learning system here. So I had wanted to go to the Jewellers Academy in Wellington, and that never happened. So most of my learning has either been self-directed or part of a course, short course, very focused one-on-one learning or in small classes. In fact, the only thing that I really have as a certificate on the wall education thing was when I was in the States. One of the things I did want to learn formally was using metal clay. And it's a really interesting material, and it was something that I hadn't had a chance to play with before. So I decided I'll do this right. So I drove from Washington down to Oregon and spent a couple of weekends, 3 days at a time, working my way all the way through the qualifications. And this was with a company called PMC, which was precious metal clay. Precious metal clay, which is particles of pure silver that are suspended in a non-toxic vegetable binder. So it works like ceramic clay.
And then, but it's metal.
But it's metal.
Wow.
So once you've worked it, molded it, you can roll templates into it and give it texture, bend it. It's just like clay. Then you stick it in your dehydrator, dry it off, because you want to make sure it's dry before you fire it. Pour it into your kiln, set that at about 780 degrees and leave it there for a couple of hours. The binder burns off. It shrinks by 10 to 15% depending on the clay that you're using. Each company has a slightly different shrinkage rate.
So that's a little bit of a difficult issue. I set some stones into this type of thing.
And you want to make sure that you do your test strips for everything. Do your test strips for everything, because I can move
That'll
my
help
kiln.
You see how much reduction you'll get.
Exactly.
Really cool.
And then all that binder burns off, the metal particles sinter together and essentially become a solid piece of metal.
Beautiful.
So there's pros and cons to metal clay, and most of the time, though, it's a phenomenal material to work with because there's just so much you can do with it. And in the early days, it was 30% shrinkage. The first one that came out was this massive shrinkage. You're making things like this to get something like this.
Oh, no. Wow,
which is really good if you want something really intricate, because you can make it really big and then bring it down. But it was.
But that's a lot of variance
and a lot easier for it to go wrong when you've got that amount of movement and shrinkage. Because then it left it very granular, and it was brittle. It would break, and all sorts of problems with the very first ones. But over the last 20 years or so, they've refined it really well, and now we've got some phenomenal metal clays out there.
Wow, I didn't even know metal clay existed.
Phenomenal. So now it's not just pure silver. That was the first one. And now you can get sterling silver, you can get Argentium, which is only available at the moment here in Australia. Beautiful Rosin Kim from Aussie Metal Clay up in Gosford. They have the patent on it. Kim's a very clever woman, and she figured out how to make it work, which I'm really surprised of. I was part of the test group for that.
Amazing woman in Australia.
Right? Yeah, she's also a hell of a sculptor as well. She does some stunning work with metal clay. Really, really interesting. You can get all sorts of bronzes now, and Aussie Metal Clay's got, I think, almost 10 colours, going from a white bronze all the way up to this deep ruby red sort of bronze. And because
the colour of the metal?
The colour of the metal. And it's just by changing the properties. Bronze is typically made of copper and tin. That's the Viking bronze, the original bronze. Now we use copper and phosphorus, and you can sometimes get the crappy bronze, which comes in copper and lead, or copper and nickel, which you kind of want to avoid. Be careful what bronze you buy. But very, very interesting. And because all of her clays in that range fire at the same temperature, you can mix the colors. So if you guys have seen Damascus steel, or where you get the different steels that they blend together, forge and fold and forge and fold and forge and fold to get those amazing patterns. There's an equivalent to that in the jewelry world called mokumigane, and it means
mokumigame.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
mokumigane, and it means wood grain.
Wood grain.
And they traditionally do it with, it's a Japanese technique, they do it with pure gold, pure silver, and a Japanese alloy called shibuichi, which is high content copper, low content silver. So you get these variants in color. And then you literally forge them, fold them, hammer them, forge them, fold them, hammer them, and you get that same sort of beautiful pattern as you get with Damascus steel, except you get the colors running through.
Yeah.
So you can actually do that with these bronzes because they go from the very pale white bronze all the way up to the dark bronze, and you can make that. And to make it yourself out of normal sheet metal is excruciatingly slow and painful and hot, and it's hard.
And rewarding.
And rewarding. But you can do it quick and easy with it. Well, not so easy, but relatively speaking, you can do it
With the clay.
With the clay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's the strength and integrity. I mean, when you fold metal, you usually you're strengthening it and strengthening it and strengthening it. Is that similar sort of?
If you leave it the way it is when it comes out of the kiln, no.
Okay.
However, if you make a nice flatter sheet, just a nice piece, flat sheet, and then forge it.
And then
So cut your piece out, hammer it, and treat it like you would a normal metal. Every time you hammer it, you're compacting those molecules in, and you're making that stronger and stronger and stronger. So your work hardening is the technique the term we call it. And
So you can still do that to the clay once it's in the kiln and the clay sort of
because once it's sintered together, it's essentially metal. It's just that, like any casting, it's never going to be quite as strong as something that's forged.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But they've managed to open up a whole new window of opportunity for creators that want to work in that space.
Massive.
Yeah, that's really good.
There's a lovely lady in Vancouver Island, the woman I learnt from, called Rhodey Franz, and she won a very prestigious award in the States called the Saul Bell Awards, and it's for jewelers, and you'll get the top of the top of the top worldwide coming to enter this competition.
Wow, okay. Saul Bell.
Saul Bell.
Saul Bell.
Yep, okay. Saul, Saul Bell, Bell, that's his last name. It's named after this guy.
Yes.
And she won the metal clay the first year it came in because her work looks like it's forged. You'd never know that it was metal clay. Up until then, the clay that was coming out was kind of lumpy and people didn't have the finishing techniques, but her background is in medical research. She used to run labs in Romania. So she has the mindset to do her testing, make sure that her firing schedules are right, and understand the clay properties. And so her work is incredible, and it was an absolute privilege learning from her.
Yeah, she must be very organized.
Oh, she's
and
phenomenal, and just really down to earth and beautiful at the same time. She's got both of them, which is really impressive.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
so yes, I have qualifications to teach teachers in that one. I went all the way through. So that's the only real piece of paper I've got.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mean, in terms of, probably from your experience, you'd think that you probably learned a lot more anyway from hands-on learning than just reading a piece of paper or attending a class.
And the more I've done this, the more I've realized that when I was in Seattle, there's a wonderful jewellery school there where everybody on the West Coast goes to train. The problem is, and same here with Melbourne Polytech, the problem is when the programs were set up, they were set up 20, 30 years ago. And while they've kept up to date with materials that are used and things like that, the process is still
evolving.
Yeah, and it's still very similar to what they did 20, 30 years ago, which is when if you learnt jewellery, you go into a manufacturing facility, and that's where you get your first job. And then, later on when you were good at what you did, then maybe you'd branch out and become a jeweler. Yeah. But, they're still raising vessels and...
it's the same stuff.
And using acetylene torches and really big, heavy equipment, which you would be using if you went into a manufacturing facility. The reality today is most people who come out of jewellery school are going to start up their online class. They're going to be using handheld butane torches.
Yes.
They're going to be using a small rolling mill, or maybe just a lump of lead on top of the metal on a texture template, smacking it with a hammer to get the texture coming through. They're not using this big equipment.
Yes.
And it meant that while they were learning some really good stuff, they weren't learning stuff that was relevant to what they were stepping out into. So I had several students in Seattle who were doing their formal training at the jewellery school there, and I've had several here from the Melbourne Polytech. Just getting supplementary skills to what they're learning, so that it was a little bit more relevant for the equipment they'd be using once they started their own stuff, once they got out.
That's a really great point, I think.
Yeah, it's very hard for educational facilities to move fast enough, because it's not as simple as, well, just put the new stuff in. You have to then train the teachers, and then someone has to write the whole thing. And by the time they've got that through all the approvals, you're 2 years down the track and you have to do it again. Yeah. And it's that slap the Band-Aid on thing that we find so much with any sort of formal education.
And it's not easy to find, teachers who have learnt the new stuff and want to teach it straight away.
No.
It's usually the teachers who've been doing the same thing for a long time, and now they're like, well, nothing much to learn, I might as well teach.
Yeah.
Right? But, the real teachers we also need is the ones who've been ever adapting to what's happening in the industry, not just learnt something and practice it really well.
And a lot of the teachers that I've come across there are reactive, but they have to teach the material they're given. And that makes it very hard for them.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, that makes it hard for the student. So education-wise, and I did think about coming and doing a fine arts degree when I was coming back to Australia in 2018. Because I thought, you know what? Maybe I should get that piece of paper and stick it up on my wall. Store Rise, fine art degree. And I spoke to Rhodey, my mentor, about it, and she said, why?
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, you already know everything you need to know. You've been teaching this for ages. Just go and keep on doing that. Why waste the money?
Yeah.
I thought, oh, yeah, good point.
And what skills is it going to give you?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. There was nothing I was going to gain from it because everything they teach I've already learnt. And while it's kind of fun to go and do the formal thing, and there's definitely places there where there's a huge benefit to new jewellers going in, especially if your mindset is more structured, then that environment is good for you. But if you're more chaotic or just a little more reactive the way I am, I learn better on the fly.
So, I guess for a newcomer, would you recommend they start with hands-on experience or go after some theoretical education first?
They have to go hand in hand. They have to go hand in hand. So one of the things we're very lucky with, there are some amazing online facilities that teach jewellery and a whole bunch of levels. One of them is an amazing woman called Lucy Walker, who's in Kuala Lumpur. And she has a wonderful online educational facility. She's a trained goldsmith from England. So that's a great place. Andrew Berry in Wales, his business is called At the Bench. Also a brilliant one. And here in Australia, we have Jewellery Training Solutions. And Peter has a phenomenal online facility for people who are learning. He also has an online apprenticeship that you can do from start to finish. So if you really want to do it properly, you can start from the beginning and work your way through and do it online, send in samples of things that you're doing. He'll grade them and get them back. So that hand in hand with actually getting out there and doing, there's a ton of things on YouTube you can learn. There's a bunch, but it really does come down to what your learning style is. If you learn better by being hands-on, then you need to go to classes. Take advantage of the lapidary clubs that have jewellery classes. Take advantage of everything that's available in your local area. If you have to drive 3 hours to get there and you want to do this, do it. 3 hours is nothing. Go find a class, drive over to, Gippsland or wherever the hell you want to go. Just do it. But it does have to come hand in hand, because at the end of the day, it comes down to muscle memory. And it's one of the reasons why with my beginners classes, they do everything with hand tools. It's hammers and files, and that's it. Hammers, files, and saws. When they get to intermediate, they already have the fine motor skill control in their muscles to be able to use something like these flex shafts that run at 35,000 revs a minute. If you push too hard on that with a coarse grinder, you're just going to take a divot out of your metal. And when you're a beginner, you don't have that control. So you move on to the electric stuff afterwards. But if you have a look at some of the jewellery out there that's done at the moment in West Africa, the Tuareg tribe does phenomenal things with a lump of wood, a chunky piece of lead for a hammer, a coal oven, and a sharpened flat screwdriver. And they make the most intricate silver work with etched and tapped in designs. It's incredible. You don't need the fancy stuff. So setting up, you'll put out a couple of $100 and you can set up in your kitchen, sit it on a cookie tray, get yourself a little solder thing and a butane torch, bowl of water, off you go.
Yeah, wow.
It's doable, but it must happen hand in hand because you need to develop that sense of touch.
Motor skills and
absolutely.
Like a mini surgeon almost.
Yes, yeah, you're listening and you're seeing and you're hearing and you're feeling, and that it all comes in together.
Amazing. And I guess what about the sort of books and sort of reading material that might have inspired you or helped you along the way?
Great stuff out there.
Something for the viewers at home.
Yeah, there's some great stuff out there.
Enter this field.
One of the things you need to know is your stones. If you're going to be working with stones, you need to understand what they are. So it's not only knowing the names of them, it's knowing the properties of them. Are they sensitive to heat? With those little rubies we were talking about before, ruby, sapphire, diamonds, you can put them into molten metal because they can take that. Yes. If you try and do that with a quartz, it'll explode. And if you're not wearing safety glasses, there go your eyes. So know your stones. So one of the best books that you'll ever get is a book called Walter Schumann's Gemstones of the World. And we use it at the GAA when we're doing our gemology training. And it has all of the stones, what structure it is, how it refracts light, everything you need to know about it. Great place to start. So that becomes your stone Bible. After that, find the things that call to you. There's a wonderful man who had an academy in the States called Paul Revere. And any of his books, his tips and tricks and processes are phenomenal. He taught for years and years and years. He's only recently retired, some 5-6 years ago. Okay. But anything by him is going to be brilliant. There's a lot out there. Those ones are gold standard. Grab them, you'll never go wrong. You'll never go wrong with those. There are others. Buy the ones that interest you. I've got some beautiful big books here on Art Nouveau and Art Deco.
Yes. Just flick through when you're looking for some inspiration.
People like René Lalique, who was and Alphonse Mucha, who were just absolute powerhouses in this new style of Art Nouveau that was so different from the Edwardian rigid stuff. There's some stunning books there. Go on Pinterest, have a look, find out the things that inspire you. Don't copy.
Yes.
Don't copy. But if I look at this plant and instead of seeing the plant in the bowl, I go, you know what? I really love the way this one frond curls up like this, and I reckon that I can take a really nice piece of silver wire and use a nice slotted hammer to get those textures in there, roll the wire around, and then put a drop of pearl or something off it. That would be really lovely, but I'm not going to make this because somebody's made that. That's theirs. They've put their time and effort into it. Don't do that, and you'll stifle your creativity by copying. However, if it's a new technique and you want to learn that, copy it, fine. Learn the technique, don't sell it. Just pop that into your stash of this is the technique I learned, and that's fine. You just don't copy someone's work to sell it. That's not okay.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
But you can always copy it to learn for your own and then use those skills and creativity.
Exactly.
Your own authentic expression of what you want to put out there.
And look at the whole thing. There might be just a particular part of that really inspires you. And pair of earrings in there is a really good example. They're the handles off a teacup, porcelain teacup, and it was just the perfect shape for an earring. So, don't get stuck on the whole picture.
Yep.
Have a look at it as a sum of its parts as well, and find the thing that really makes you go, wow, that is gorgeous because. I love the matte texture on the vase, just find the thing that grabs you. But the world is full of it. Look at the shadows. That come through the trees when the light catches it. When the wind blows across a field of grass, look at the way that texture flows across. Have a look at the shadows in a shirt, or the way a seam matches. There's always things. I could do that with a piece of metal and put it over the top, rivet it together. There's all sorts of things that you can get inspiration from.
Wow, when you look around, you see inspiration everywhere.
I do. There's everything I look at puts a picture in my head of something to make.
And I guess, I understand you obviously mentor newcomers to this industry.
Absolutely.
You're quite well known for that as well. So, can you share with us a little bit about that experience and how that's been for you? And
it's something I'm really passionate about. Not just for me because I really enjoy it and I get a kick out of it, but I love watching them develop their voice, who they are.
Yes.
And it's so different from person to person. So my biggest job as a mentor is to teach them safely the skills that they need, and then to help them find out who they are and what they want to express. And it's between the 6 or 7 really hardcore students that I have that come in all the time. You know, one of them does this mad sort of urban tribal sort of feel. It looks like it's been dug up out of an apocalyptic slag heap, you know, from an old city. And it's awesome stuff. She loves copper and recycled glass, and she'll just pick up broken bottles from the ground and turn them into these amazing pieces of jewelry that are just stunning. And then I've got another one who does very contemporary, very sleek, very simple things. She's very geometric. She loves her clean lines. They're all learning the same techniques. But it's really important to help them be comfortable with who they are, and also to understand that just because that's your voice now, that doesn't mean to say it's going to be your voice tomorrow. And when I started doing jewelry, most of what I was doing was aimed at the Celtic community. So like that piece of bone over there, lots of knot work and wrapping and you know, carved things and Celtic designs and Viking designs and Norse designs, things like that. I don't do anything like that now. But it is a skill that I have.
During that time.
But that's where I was at the time. That's the thing that was talking so strongly to me.
Yes.
And then when it stopped talking to me, it was okay to change my modality and move with it. And for those of us who are worried about making something and putting a photo of it up on social media so that somebody steals it, honestly, guys, if you're worried about that, then you need to reassess. Because if you've made something and you want to hold on to it, the reality these days is those photos go out there. People are going to make it. It's okay. Make something new. You should be constantly reinventing yourself, constantly pulling those ideas out and making something new. That's what keeps you fresh.
Use it as a learning experience to test your skills, practice them, and perhaps find some new ones as well.
And it's okay if somebody makes something that you've made. It's okay. As I said, everybody makes spinner rings, and you put 20 of those together, and they're all going to be slightly different because of the way someone hits the hammer, because of the idea they've used on the spinner. You know, that they're all going to have their own flavor because they're made by other people.
Yeah.
Whatever you make, no matter how fundamentally basic it is, will have your flavor in it. So just be bold and be curious. And don't be scared to try.
I mean, I guess you touched a little bit about something that's close to my heart, which is sustainability and, you know, upcycling, recycling.
Yes.
Different types of ways we can sort of reimagine things that we think are not so valuable. And I think, you know, we live in a society where, you know, we're always trying to keep up with the Joneses and replacing our couch before it's broken, or our TV or whatever it might be. And I think, you know, there will come a time where we can't just keep producing, you know, infinite amounts of products for people to just use for a little bit of time.
It's here now.
We're always trying to, you know, think about, and sustainability is not just about, you know, reducing waste. It's about people, planet, and profit, of course.
It's mindset.
So how do you see sort of sustainability in this industry, in your business, and how customers see it? Do they ask about it?
Oh yeah, it's you know, with all the climate change and the way the world is going at the moment and how things are accelerating, people, it's much more in the forefront of what they're thinking about.
Fantastic.
Because it's affecting them now. Oh, last summer was really hot. This winter was really wet. It's something they're experiencing every day, and they are concerned. So anywhere they can make a change, even if it's tiny, people want to know, even if they aren't quite ready to make the effort themselves, they want to know that the people that they're buying from are making that effort. And our industry traditionally is full of chemicals. You know, we use ferric chloride to etch silver. We're constantly using chemicals to do the things we do. Sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid. You know, we're constantly using chemicals.
And lead.
I mean, solder, just plain old silver solder. 30 years ago, the flow agent that was in solder was cadmium. And the moment you heat that, outgasses, and it's toxic as hell. So, you know, they banned it, and now they use zinc as a flow agent. But, you know, you're still getting metal fumes, and there is a syndrome, metal fume syndrome, that you got a lot in steel foundries. And, you know, headaches, heart problems, all sorts of issues. You've got to understand.
Too much metals in your system.
Too much metals. And the pickles they used to use to strip the oxides off once you'd heated something, you know, if it's got a base metal in it. Sterling silver is made of 925 parts per thousand, that's why it's stamped 925, of pure silver, and the remaining 75 parts per thousand is copper. And because copper is a base metal, it oxidizes. So when you heat something to solder it, it goes black. But you can't carry on working on it until you get rid of that black. So we stick it on in a solution called pickle. And most of the time, it's something like, you could just pH down from Bunnings. It's the stuff that you stick into your spa pool.
Okay.
Because it drops the pH level. Fantastic for stripping off the oxides. But what happens if you're one of those people who have a sensitive skin? Or it's, you know, you have a compromised immune system, you don't want to be around something like that. So instead we use strong vinegar and salt, plain salt, rock salt, sea
natural
salt.
materials.
Exactly. And you just heat that vinegar up in an old coffee cup, chuck in a dessert spoon of plain salt, and that will strip those oxides off just as fast.
Wow.
So it's always looking for something that is going to replace something that's been in the industry for a long time that we really, really, really don't need to be using anymore. There are options.
That's great.
And as far as recycling, we've got a lot of metal that's just floating around out there. And every time I make something, I generate scrap. There's offcuts, there's filings, there's dust from the file, there's, you know, powders, there's all sorts of stuff. All of that gets swept into, when I vacuum, this all goes into a plastic bag. It goes off to the refiner at the end of the year. They burn all the crap off it and then take out the metal. That comes back to me and I reuse it. I make my own sheet and then I make my own wire.
Even from your vacuum scrap?
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Yes.
The clean stuff that gets cut off, I just melt that down and turn that into jewellery.
And do you have like a resource where you share your wins in this sort of space and others share their wins in this space with you? Where do you guys get
There's a ton of really good forums and groups, especially on Facebook. There's one there called Aspiring Metalsmiths, which is really good.
Aspiring Metalsmiths.
Yeah, Aspiring Metalsmiths. And it's raw beginners up to people who've been in the industry forever. I remember speaking to a guy on there, asking him, he'd been talking about enameling. And I was asking him a question. I found out later that he worked for the jewellers that do the crown jewels in England. But he was just so down to earth. And it's like, yeah, you can do this and this and this. This is when I was a newbie and I was like, oh. Had a bit of a fangirl moment.
Yeah, well, he's a professional.
Yeah, right?
Not just any professional.
Top of the pops.
Yeah.
And those are the people who are out there just really happy to be passing on knowledge and making sure that this slow craft doesn't die.
Yes.
But we all swap things. What have you found that works good for this? And what have you found that works well for that? And what have you found? And, you know, there's answers for everything and different ways of doing things.
And I think, I mean, you're part of the Nunawading Gem Club, so that must be another place where there's a lot of wins that you discover about running a club. Or
Absolutely.
Tell me a little about your experience, you know, helping them out and being part of that.
It's a really interesting club. It's a non-profit, the Nunawading Lapidary Club. The Nunawading District Lapidary Club, the NDLC, non-profit organisation.
Fantastic.
And yeah, really, really nice. It's currently in the Nunawading Community Hub. In brand new rooms. We opened up in there just after COVID.
I might have to go check that out, I think.
I think you do. You really are going to have to come and check it out. It's fabulous. And it's a beautiful, big, brightly lit area divided into 3 sections. So we have a jewellery room that over the last 3 years that I've been with them, we've updated the equipment and we have a whole bunch of new stuff in there. We've put training programs in place. And of course, because they're for our members, they're next to free, and they pay a tiny little class fee. I kid you not, Munchkin size 3, and then just for the cost of the materials, no markup there at all, and they get top quality classes. And then we move across to the cabbing room where they learn how to cut stone and turn it into cabochons and make all this beautiful stuff that they can then go back to the jewellery room and set.
Yes.
And then further down we have our faceting room where you can learn to make those beautiful faceted stones. And we've got award-winning faceters there who are just crazy happy to teach.
I can imagine, yeah.
And it's a fantastic, very inclusive, very welcoming club.
So happy to hear.
Yeah, it's lovely. And it's why I spend all my free days there.
Yeah. I mean, if they're anything like you, I can only imagine how lovely they must be.
They're amazing. There's not a bad bone amongst them. They're brilliant. And luckily, we've got all of this time. We go out fossicking together. It's a very strong social presence as well. We have lunches together, and we organise like a couple of times a month. We have a birthday lunch. So anyone who's had their birthday that month, we'll all come together and have a birthday lunch. And we'll all cook and bring stuff in and take it down to the cafe there, right? And like we've had breakfast for lunch, and we've had soup day, and we've had all these different things.
Oh, that's lovely.
It is. It's a very, very community building, and that's essential. Absolutely essential. And if you're going to have any sort of club, the classes are run by people who belong to the club. So it's not a set schedule because it does depend on availability of our trainers.
Great.
But yeah.
And is there a nice diverse age bracket in the club for you as well?
Yes. Most of these clubs are usually seniors because they've got the time. They're retired or semi-retired, and they've got the time to do it. We have a youth club that runs on the Saturdays, and we have 10, 12, 14-year-olds coming in learning how to cut stones, which is
amazing.
Just awesome. And then coming into the jewellery room later, and we teach them how to smith. And then we've got people again from the Polytech who are coming in. We've got professional jewellers who come in and cut their own stones and teach the odd class and
fossicking trips and all that.
Yes, fossicking trips. We go out for the topaz and citrine, and a bunch went out and got a whole bunch of fossils the other day. And
fossils.
Right, I was teaching that day, so I missed it, but I scored a whole parcel of tiny little shark's teeth. It was awesome. So I'm going to do something with those.
Yeah,
don't know what yet, but I'll figure it out. Really, really good. Really, really good.
And of course, you do bone carving, don't you? So
absolutely.
That's pretty cool to come through. And I mean, in terms of the overall, I mean, you're very much entrenched in this entire industry from age to age. You'd probably be a great person to kind of touch on how the industry has changed over the last few years and where you might see it evolving to in the next 5 to 10 years. Is it a good idea for people to come in to this market, or if they do, what sort of new technologies could they specialize in to give them an edge, perhaps?
Yeah, exactly. It is any business that's a want and not a need is always going to be a little bit harder to work. It's not a business you go into if you want to have an easy life. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Okay.
Because it is product driven and you are making it, it takes time and it takes effort. However, having said that, I think there is a massive amount of scope for people who are not scared to stuff up and who are curious and inventive and are not scared to push the boundaries. I've seen some incredible jewellery made out of things that you just would never imagine. The exhibition I was in June and July this year was held at a beautiful old historic house that belongs to the Knox Council here in Baroni. It's about 7 minutes from the shop. And it's called Miller's Homestead. Beautiful old 1800s thing that now has a gallery and a little library, and you can hire out the rooms, a big grand piano for concerts, and it's just gorgeous. But it was run by the Knox Council, their waste department, and it was called Art Beyond Waste. So everything that we used to make what we were making had to be waste. So the silver that I used was scrap that I melted down and turned into sheet, and this is actually a piece from the exhibition. And a bit of branch that I picked up off the road and then made into something else.
Something beautiful.
Yeah, broken beads. Actually, I've got a piece in the Melbourne Royal Show at the moment.
Yes.
That's made out of broken turquoise beads and a chunk of raw amber that a friend of mine found digging the foundations for his house in Denmark, and then a chunk of raw wood that has a couple of leftover studs where I couldn't find the second ones. They've gone somewhere. I don't know, gremlins.
So this is shown off at the Royal Melbourne Show right now.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So I've got that in there, and a couple of big wall hangings made with bark and leaves and stuff like that too.
So creative.
Yeah, it's fun. But that sustainability thing of using things that you consider trash is really important. It's a change in mindset that really has only tipped the way it is in the last 20, 30 years. I remember when I was a kid, Mum would save all of the brown paper bags from the grocery shop and would use them to cover our school books. She'd wash every plastic bag and then stick it up on the line to dry, you know, and we'd reuse them over and over and over again. Everything was reused.
Amazing.
Everything was recycled. And they still had the same kettle that she'd been given as an engagement present. No, it was 40 years old. Dad had changed the elements 3 times.
What brand?
But it happened to be Westinghouse.
Oh, there you go. They made them stronger back then.
They made them strong back then. Yeah, and that's it though. We've got built-in obsolescence now. And we can't afford that. Planned obsolescence. Absolutely. There's plenty of stuff out there that makes gorgeous jewellery.
Yes.
And
I think sustainability is having a re-emergence in the forefront of people's minds.
People are looking for it. It's one of the first questions I ask is, where do you get your metal from? And if I'm buying it pre-made, it comes from Palloys here in Australia because all of their metal is recycled.
Wow.
And their refining process has been certified as clean, which is rare.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So it's important as a business owner and as a jeweler, and just for me, I need to know that the stuff that I'm making, nothing in it will hurt my customers. So there was a fad for a while where sterling silver was made with nickel instead of copper because it was cheap and it was a white metal. But people react to nickel. If you have a metal allergy, that's what you're reacting to. It's the nickel. Yes. So in Europe now, it's illegal to sell jewellery that's made out of nickel or has a nickel content unless it's labelled.
Yes.
So when you see something that's called German silver, it's not silver, it's tin and nickel and zinc. So knowing your metals helps. But my stickers that I use to stick on my jewellery boxes, their whole printing process is environmentally friendly and certified. So every part of what I do needs to echo what I honestly believe is so important, and that's
great.
Every tiny little bit helps. I'm not going to change the world with what I do.
But you can change your world.
But I can change my world. And I can help the people around me have a better outcome too.
That's fantastic.
Without shoving it down their throat. Just
when
through
we're only here for
education.
A little time.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And there's nothing that stops me making beautiful jewellery.
And what about the students of yours that are trying to push the boundaries but are scared of criticism and scared of judgment? How do you help them through that difficult process?
There's one question that I ask them, and it's the one that a friend of mine asked me when I was young and starting off on this. And when you're young, people's opinion is really important to you. You get a bit older and you're just like whatever. But when you're young, it makes a difference, and when you're starting out, it makes a difference. Or if you just you're not 100% sure of yourself, it's going to make a difference. Criticism can be incredibly damaging, and so many of us carry that imposter syndrome where we second guess ourselves all the time. So the question I ask, and that I ask myself when I lose my way, is how is this going to change your life in 5 years' time? What they've said. Are you going to be homeless, living on the street and dying from gangrene because they said that piece looked like crap? No. So if it's not going to change your life in 5 years' time, is it important now? And then the second part of that is, what is it about that person that they're going through that made them look at something critically? Is it because they really genuinely hate it? Or because they hate the
feedback?
Or is it constructive and you're hearing it from a defensive point of view?
Yes.
So keep that in mind too. We tend to become very defensive if somebody says something about our baby. Your baby's ugly. Well, no, it's not. It's beautiful. You suck. We get very critical of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our self-defense mechanisms kick in very easy. It's hard to
very much so. It is.
Especially when you have self-esteem issues.
Yes.
Even harder.
Yep, absolutely. And creativity demands a certain level of vulnerability. So that leaves you open to pain when someone criticizes. But at the end of the day, why did they say something didn't work? They didn't like that. Okay, well, I'll sit back and have a look at it and go, okay, was it valid?
Absolutely. I think that's an important question to ask.
Yeah, you know what? I could have put that bail in a different place. I could have maybe made that jump ring a bit bigger or smaller or fatter or symmetrical. I could have maybe made them asymmetrical. I could have played with it a bit more. Maybe I should have polished that part a little bit better. Valid. Thank you. That's really good. It doesn't matter about the delivery. That's not the point.
Yes.
listen to hear, not to answer.
Yes.
And that's the big thing.
Oh my God, isn't that a big one?
It's a huge one, because when you listen to hear, you'll stop and pay attention to sometimes the layers underneath the physical words mean something very different. So listen to hear, don't listen to answer.
And I think I've caught myself and many others when we're always trying to respond or add something to what you're saying, and we're too busy waiting to respond that we don't even try to understand.
No.
And I think we're missing out. We're missing out on a heap of just trying to, push out existing ideologies rather than to constantly, continuously improve
Absolutely.
our understanding.
Because it keeps us safe. If we do what we know really, really well, then we're safe. But you can't be safe and creative at the same time. There is a risk involved.
It feels good to be good at something, but it feels great to learn something new.
Exactly, which is why stuff-ups are so important. And why failing is so important. The only difference between a beginner and a master is the master has a bigger pile of stuff that's gone wrong. That's the difference.
He's failed more times than most people have tried.
That's exactly it. And eventually that beginner will also have a massive pile of things that have gone wrong. And also a wonderful collection of things that have gone right because of what's gone wrong. So,
and you're almost as proud of what's gone wrong. Maybe,
absolutely.
As what's gone right.
I've kept some awesome stuff-ups. They have just been great. I learn so much when I stuff up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's exciting times.
Absolutely.
So be curious. Don't be scared to start. Ask questions. Ask. Nobody minds questions. Ask questions, but listen to hear.
Fantastic. And tell me a bit more about how you source your materials and stones ethically, and what we as creators can do ourselves to try and go down the same path, and what perhaps governments or institutions could do to help it easier for jewelers to be able to source materials ethically.
Oh, it's hard. When you've got cars. We've got cars. Cars are good. Get out my cars. People have a bit of an emotion attached to their car, but it's a car. You can go to a dealership and get a car. People tend to get very emotional about precious things like gemstones and gold. It creates this almost a fever in some people. So the greed that comes along with that is a big thing.
Okay.
And, unfortunately, the human persona just likes to take advantage of someone. If they can get a little bit further ahead, then it happens a lot. And when you're in a disadvantaged country like some of the areas in India and Thailand, where the money isn't as prevalent and they don't have as many choices, they can get stuck into a situation where they're being exploited for doing what they're doing. And I've seen mines where people are cutting stones dry with no water. There's not a stone out there that's not toxic, guys. If you're going to be cutting or carving a stone, it has to be done wet, and usually hand in hand, a proper fume and particle rated respirator, because you can't breathe that crap in. And then you look at a piece, say, of bumblebee jasper, that beautiful yellow and black and orange banded jasper. That yellow is arsenic.
Oh, wow.
You cut that dry and breathe that in, you're dead. And it happens. It's not a good way to die. Wow. And a lot of the stone cutters in the poorer countries, they're not given safety equipment.
No way, yeah. No shoes.
No, they're sitting on the ground with their feet holding a piece of wood, and they've got a stone grinder, and they don't have water, they've got nothing, and they're just grinding. And all of that dust is coming up. So...
And we know better now.
We know better now, but trying to get the companies that are making a lot of money off that to change is an uphill battle. So all you can do is put your money where
Vote for the world you...
That's it.
You want.
Vote for the world you want. So put your money where it's doing the most good. And there are plenty of places out there that are certified by your local gemological association. So the GAA here in Australia, or the GIA in America, and there's a bunch of other organizations. If you go and do a Google search on ethical stones, you will find a ton of people who are certified in different businesses. Yes, it will cost slightly more, or a lot more, depending on the business. Is it worth it? Yes.
Customers will be there who specifically want your tailored offering.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then the other way around for the jewellery that you're making for people to wear, that's their chuck it on with their jeans and their t-shirt, their fun everyday sort of jewellery, rather than the high fashion jewellery.
For the weddings, that's one side.
Right, exactly. The engagement ring, the fancy stuff. Then you know what? Join your local lapidary club. Talk to the miners that have beautiful slabs. Take that slab down to the lapidary club, cut it, grind it, turn it into a cabochon, make your jewellery.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Get familiar with the people in your country around you. Those lapidary clubs are full of people who are going out there and getting the stone by digging in the earth themselves, rather than using big equipment or blowing a mountainside like the commercial mining does.
Yes.
Or like in the gold areas by washing it with arsenic, That's a whole nother kettle of fish. That one's going to take us, we'll be here for a week. So, talk to the ones who are going out and the rock hounds who are chasing down that piece of citrine or topaz or, whatever it is. There's options. And don't be scared to ask again. And get online. Do your Google search. There's plenty out there. There's the information there if you want it.
And what about lab-grown gems?
Now,
do you think it's the future?
I do. I absolutely do. And again, because it takes power away from the people who are exploiting people.
Yeah.
So diamonds is quite a well-known area where there's a lot of exploitation.
Yes. Yeah.
And luckily for us,
consumers and from the suppliers.
Big time. Dear God, big time. And we were lucky for quite a few years that we had the Argyle mines over in WA.
Mm-hmm.
They closed down.
Dried up now.
Yeah, they closed down. They're actually a really good example of an ethical company. Very, very rare in the diamond mining industry.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, and for the last 3 years, they're replacing everything and doing regenerative planting.
Fantastic.
And they're going to turn it back into exactly what it was before they were there.
That's amazing.
And then they're donating the land back to the tribe that let them use it.
Yeah, wow.
Exactly. And that's the way to do it right.
Amazing. That's
right?
probably the first story I've heard of such a thing happening.
I've never heard that with diamond mining before. Normally it's just strip mining and it's a mosh pit of people diving in to try and get a stone. And
there's no hope to use that land for agriculture or anything again.
No, you can't use it up there. There's so much chemical disposal and
topsoil.
It's gone.
Too much,
it's gone. And Australia in particular is a very old continent. We don't have a lot of topsoil anyway. We have limited areas where we have rich soil.
The next question I'd like to know from you is, what's the first stone you've ever owned?
Okay, the first legit stone or the because there is a story to that one.
I'd like to hear both.
Both? Okay, so the very first stone I remember really strongly, the one that made an impact, was when I was about 6 years old. I used to trade stones with a little boy in my primary school.
Awesome.
And, he'd bring in something, I'd bring in something. And one day he comes in and he's got this gorgeous little blue sparkly stone. It was really, really pretty and I really wanted it. And so I gave him a little amethyst and a little citrine that I had. And he gave me this lovely blue stone and I was so happy. And then I got home and there was a phone call that night. And it turns out he dug it out of his mum's ring. It was a sapphire. So I had to give it back. And I remember being so upset because I didn't get my citrine or my amethyst back and I lost my sapphire.
Oh.
So that was the first
Did you
stone.
lose the friendship too then?
I think it cooled off significantly for a couple of weeks and then we got back into it again. But both of us were very careful about what stones we brought to the table after that.
That's amazing that you were sort of, trading and sharing with you at such a young age.
Yeah, it's always been a passion. Always been a passion. And then the first, I think, significant stone that I always think of as where I started with the jewellery side of it, rather than just the love of the craft. It was a beautiful, my birthday's in November, so my birthstone is topaz or citrine. And one of the topazes that's really hard to find is that beautiful deep Madeira orange. And it's really hard to find.
Okay.
And at the time, this would have been early 90s, I was friends with a beautiful man and his wife who had a very high-end jewellery store in Sydney. gorgeous things, Duval and his wife. And he was actually the first one who gave me my very first benchtop flex shaft. He'd got it at a manufacturing jeweller's. They were closing down, and he'd bought them really cheap because they're very expensive normally, and he just gave it to me. He said, "You want to do jewellery? Here you go." And he gave me a beautiful, they were just gorgeous, those two. Loved them to death. Beautiful oval, deep Madeira orange topaz. And so that was 30 years ago, and I only just set that last year. Yep, kept it all that time.
Very special for you.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, beautiful stone. Lots of good memories with that one.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. And I guess something that's close to my heart, sapphires. If you could have any colour sapphire in the world, what would be the one that you would want?
I'm a mad fan of party-coloured sapphires. I love the banding and the effect of light running through it. So for me, it would have to be a party colour of some variety.
Yes.
I'm not terribly attached to what colour that would be, though I would lean towards the cooler blue-green variants.
Yes. Yep.
I love the traditional sapphires. I have a real soft spot in my heart for the Ceylonese sapphires, those beautiful cornflower blue ones. And I have a very small parcel of little square cut ones that belong to my nana that she'd bought when she was in Ceylon, when she was in Ceylon. And she was going to make them into a ring, and when she passed, she'd left them in her daughter's partner's safe. Their family were jewellers. And I got it sort of a couple of weeks later. This parcel arrived for me, and it had these beautiful stones in it from Nana. And so beautiful. Those ones for me. And they were that perfect cornflower blue that you just don't see anymore. So if I was going to go for a plain stone, it would have to be a Ceylonese sapphire.
And you mentioned your nana was born in
She was born in Ceylon,
amazing.
She was.
That would have been quite a journey for her.
Yeah, very much so. They had an interesting life. Really, really did.
So your generations have been involved in
absolutely.
And jewellery.
Yeah, whether it's actively involved in it or just in those beautiful parts of the world where it's such a part of the culture. I have a bracelet of my great-great-grandmother's, a bangle. It's only diddly because they were so small. And it was her engagement present, and it's beautiful Ceylonese filigree 23-karat gold with rose-cut diamonds across the top, graduated bridge. You just don't see work like that anymore, and nobody can fit that thing now. But it's in my precious stuff, and it's just part of my family.
And sort of, what are your favourite countries that gemstones typically come from?
Well, you've got to go to Sri Lanka for stones, and spice, actually. Really good for both.
Good curry.
Right. As far as the lower quality, or not quality, lower value stones go, there's some really interesting stuff coming out of Indonesia. Some of the fossilized wood and siliconated wood that's coming out is stunning. Dominican Republic for blue amber, unbelievable stuff. Looks like normal amber until you stick it under a black light, and then it fluoresces blue. It's phenomenal. And it's the only place in the world where you get it.
Cool. Indonesia. Amazing.
That's Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic, sorry.
Yep, the blue amber. India, definitely. There's a huge variety of stones there, though it's harder to find a place where you can get them ethically.
Yes.
And there are a few there that I know of and I've been using for the last 20 or 30 years. And luckily they're family owned, and they treat their workers really well, and you're able to just walk through anytime you want without an appointment. They've got nothing to hide. Yes. And that's usually the giveaway as to whether they're genuine or not. But Australia for gemstones.
Yeah, I didn't know you could find sapphires in Australia until a couple of years ago.
Sapphires, rubies, chrysoprase. We have turquoise, which is that beautiful, rich Prussian blue here in Victoria. Actually, there's a really interesting book, guys, called Gemstones of Victoria, which has the history on what sort of gemstones we found here.
Got to check that one out.
Diamonds and all sorts of things. Black jade, beautiful. Yeah, gorgeous stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, I think...
Brazil. Sorry, that's the last one. Brazil, dear Lord. They've got opal.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually more stable than the Australian opal.
And the aquamarine is the best in the world.
Yes, gorgeous tourmalines and emeralds, just amazing stones in Brazil. It's incredibly mineral rich.
Fantastic. And So are you a morning person or a night person when it comes to your flow state?
Right, so that's changed. That's definitely changed. Before I had my daughter, I was definitely a night person. But that changed when you had to start getting up early with Small Purple. So then I became a bit more of a morning person while still being a night person. So yeah, that meant a lot of not much sleep.
Sleepless nights. Yeah.
And now I find I'm much more productive and clearer-headed in the morning and much more creative in the evening. So I tend to stay with the admin stuff first thing in the morning. But then by the time mid-afternoon kicks in, my brain just fires over into design. And then I plan classes and do sketches for design and samples and things afternoon and evening.
That's great how you can balance your day like that.
Yeah, it works out really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that's one of the greatest challenges creatives face is trying to balance staying organised and planned and
What is this
while
organised
also
of
trying
which
to
you
be
speak?
flexible with your flow. It must be very hard.
Yeah.
And I guess drink-wise, do you prefer tea or coffee while you're in your zone?
If I'm in the morning, then I'll have coffee. But I'm one of those people that coffee puts to sleep. So if I need to keep working on things in the evening, if I drink coffee, it'll just knock me out. So then I swap to tea.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I guess in terms of the biggest splurge on a piece of stone or material that you've ever made, what would you say it was?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know what? I've been really, really lucky with finding really good material at really good prices. So I've never really had to spend a massive amount on any one thing. I think the most expensive thing I ever bought was a beautiful sapphire, the one I told you about before, which was white, or just clear, with that cobalt blue streak. And it only cost me about $600.
Wonderful.
And it's worth a lot more than that now.
Was it?
Oh, just under a single carat.
Okay.
It's only a little teardrop, but it's beautiful.
Wow.
And I just fell in love with it. And at the time, this was a while ago, I was working retail, so I wasn't making a lot of money. And so for me, that was a lot of money.
I mean, of course.
That was a month's worth of rent, and it was a lot of money. So it was a big, big purchase back then for me.
Meant a lot to you.
Yeah, I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Saw it, fell in love with it. Had to be mine, and I still haven't said it. It's still sitting there in my safe, and I'll find the right thing for it someday.
Yep.
I just don't know when that day will be.
And if you weren't in this industry, what would you be doing?
I did spend a stint doing window design.
Window design?
Yeah, for department stores and things like that, because I love working in 3D. So I did that for a while when I was younger, when I just first started working.
Fantastic.
And I also spent a stint when I was living up in Queensland just before we went to America, where I was doing 3D displays for Columbia TriStar, or those big movie hangs and all that sort of stuff. And all the promo stuff for Lord of the Rings, make these big statues out of poly, and it was very, very cool.
Yeah.
I remember buying 400 meters of fabric once to put all the way down Brisbane Station because we were turning it into a big display for a travel agency. Just weird stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I'd have to go back into visual display of some variety.
Yeah, that seems like something you really love. And I guess some of those talents help you with setting up your own shop.
Absolutely.
And displaying your
Absolutely.
own.
It's working in 3 dimensions. So especially if you're carving or working with wax or doing something like that, you're thinking in 3 dimensions. Or even if you're making just a normal everyday pendant that you're layering,
Yeah.
You put this, then you put that on top, and then you do this, and you finish it with that. You still have to think in 3 dimensions. So anything like that. I am the Tetris queen of packing the car.
Fantastic.
So nobody in the family can beat me on that.
Okay, brilliant. I'll keep that in mind.
You need
Next
that car
time we need
packed?
to go on a trip.
I'm your girl.
And I mean, who would you sort of be inspired or would love to one day perhaps get a chance to collaborate with?
There is this amazing woman in the US who I've just chatted to online a little bit. I wish I'd had a chance to meet her in person. So this would be Eileen, if you're listening, this is for you. Eileen O'Shea, who has the most incredible technique of working with enamels. And she layers and layers and layers and makes these pieces that look like lichen or coral, and you'd swear that you just pick them up off a rock in Iceland. They're stunning. Eileen O'Shea, beautiful, beautiful work. I would love to learn from her, and I'd also love to do something with her because I love working with organics anyway, and her stuff looks like it's organic. And I think as a collaboration, that would be insane. And I'd love to put a collection together with her. That would just be nuts.
I'm so stoked that, you're so passionate about collaborating with her. So Eileen, if you are listening, we'll definitely share the details of how to get in touch with Storm, and hopefully we can see a beautiful creation that you both come up with.
Love that. Love that.
And I guess, what's the most important lesson that life has taught you?
That's a really good question. And the most important lesson is sit in the discomfort.
Okay.
It's so easy to avoid.
Yes.
It's so easy to avoid. And if you do, you'll miss out on stuff. Sometimes just holding on to that discomfort that little bit longer brings such incredible rewards. Whether it's just waiting for that thing to happen, or just mastering that technique, or just hanging on for something, or taking that criticism on board. Sit in that discomfort, because what you get out of it is exponentially bigger than what went in. And it's so worth it. Yeah. But it is hard, and it takes practice, and it's discipline. You need to dip in for a couple of seconds, then step off if you have to, but sit in it just a little bit longer each time and soak it, because it's worth it. It's so worth it.
That's great feedback. And I guess what would you want our listeners to take away from today's sort of show and journey about your story? Sorry, the story about your journey.
I can journey about my story. I can journal about my story too.
Me too.
I actually kind of like that. That was good.
It natural.
Yeah, I hold that one. I like that one. You know what? I think the most important thing to take away is that there isn't anything, and we hear this a lot, you can do anything you want, and to a certain extent that's not true, because there's always an element of luck. It doesn't matter how talented you are, if you're not seen by the right person, you might get missed. You see people on Instagram and TikTok who have the most phenomenal skill, and yet they've never been picked up because it just hasn't quite meshed. However, don't let that stop you. You can develop those skills. You can develop that discipline to drive yourself. Don't give up your dreams. No, there's no time limit on dreams. Don't ever think that, I'm 58 now, I should just be retiring or settling down. That's rubbish. Don't do it. There's one of my favorite jewelers retired from corporate at 65, decided she wanted to be a blacksmith, learned how to be a blacksmith, and then she decided she wanted to put gold on that, so learned how to put gold on steel. And now she's got the most incredible steel and 24 karat gold jewelry in the Smithsonian. Don't give up on your dreams. She was 65 when she started. Just do it.
So in that sense, do you think passion or discipline is more important on this journey?
You need both. The discipline is your foundation. That's the frame the house is built on.
Okay.
And some people are naturally good at it. Some people have to work at it.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, a business is a business, and without the discipline to make you get up in the morning and do the things you don't want to do, no matter how well it goes for a while, it'll eventually crumble. The passion is vital because it's the lifeblood of what you do.
Yes. Yeah.
So the discipline's going to hold it up, and the passion is going to let you flow with it. You've got to have them both, but nothing starts without the discipline.
Great. And in terms of the clients you have, like the students and the customers for your beautiful jewelry, what sort of some advice that you have given them or that you could give them for both sections?
Yeah, I was going to say, because that's two different things. So for my customers, don't be scared to wear something that isn't what everybody else is wearing.
Because all your pieces are very unique, one-of-ones, aren't they?
They are. I only ever do one-of-ones. And even when I do a collection, it will be themed by, like what am I wearing today? This is the collection that this comes from, is called From the Forest Floor, and it's bits of branch and wood and bark and lichen and silver. I'm kind of partial.
Mushrooms.
My little mushrooms.
Funny.
I love it. And every single piece is different because all of the pieces I'm working with are different. So there will never be two the same. And I also have a collection of pieces that are much more contemporary, but they're only ever one-offs. And I will do a limited drop of 20. And they'll be numbered on the back, and that will be it. I'll never make them again. In all the years that I've made things, I've never repeated a design. And I think that's important because handmade jewellery is more expensive. You're paying for someone's time and for all the training they've done and for the materials. Here, they're so much more expensive than what we can get them for overseas.
Yes.
And of course, when you're working with cast jewellery, you're only paying the gram weight. Whereas if you work with fabricated metal, if you're making it yourself and you're buying it, it's a lot of wastage. And also, it's a good $2 a gram more than what it would be if I just bought the grain, melted it down, poured my ingot, rolled my metal, pulled my wire. So the cost goes up exponentially.
I see.
So don't be afraid to wear something that is different. Let it be who you are. It's really nice to have the trends and it's fun to have some of that stuff, but at the end of the day, jewellery is like a talisman and it says so much about who you are and how you see yourself. You're telling your story every time you put your jewellery on. It's as simple as that. So find your own voice and do it.
Beautiful. And
then for students, don't be scared to try. Keep your curiosity and keep your sense of humour. It's funnier when things stuff up. Learn from it.
that's true. I mean, it's so easy to get distracted, to get
frustrated.
Yeah, and you know, if you don't have the right mentors to continue on that journey, it's so easy to just give up and try something else.
It is.
And that might not be because you necessarily didn't like it. No. It's just because, you know, there's always going to be plateaus of progress in your journey, and
don't let it throw you. Exactly. Don't give up. 93% of businesses, small business in Australia, fail in the first year because it becomes hard.
Yes.
And instead of sitting in that discomfort, we let it get to us. So hang in there. If it's uncomfortable, that's okay. That's where you grow. Like you said, that's your growth state.
There you go. And how about myths? What's one myth in this industry that you'd like to
My favourite one is don't put your opals in mineral oil, especially your white opals. Guys, no, it's really bad for them. You don't need to. Where that myth started was most of the white opal that was on the market back in the 1800s and around there was from Czechoslovakia. And the mines there had a much higher water content, 20 to 30%, as opposed to the Australian opal, which is around the 10% mark. Brazilian opal is around 5%. Which is why it's so stable. Mm-hmm. But because of that, people would coat it in mineral oil so that the moisture wouldn't evaporate and wouldn't crack. But we don't need to do that with Australian opal, and it's not good for it. Oh. So yeah, no oils, no stuff on it with your opal. Keep it clean. If it needs a wash, lukewarm water, soft cloth, give it a wipe, you're good to go. No chemicals.
Okay, great. So anyone who wants to continue this journey with you and learn and be mentored by you, they can reach out to you through Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. They can also just pop in here and pop in for a coffee and a laugh and a hug.
Oh yeah, lots of cuddles. I'm your cuddle queen. So, you know, if you need a hug, I'm your girl.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I guess, what would, like, do you have any events or special?
I do. So at the moment I have some pieces, like I mentioned before, at the Melbourne Royal Show.
Yes.
Which are on display there, one jewellery piece and one wall art piece. Mm-hmm. And then coming up we have, the Nunawading Lapidary Gem Show. It's the White Horse Gem Show. And that is going to be happening on the weekend of the 18th and 19th in October, so next month. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be running from 10 till 5 on the Saturday and 10 till 4 on the Sunday. And guys, there's going to be demos and traders and a guy there who's a gemologist. So if you've got a stone you don't know what it is, then come along and he can tell you what it is for free. But it's a really good way of finding some beautiful treasures and getting a good feel. You can wander through the Lapidary Club and see if that's for you and have a chat to everybody there. There's going to be raffles and showcases of work from students as well as some of the teachers. It's a really, really good show. So there'll be stuff there.
Love it. Well, we'll definitely be there and can't wait to see you at the show.
Yes, I'll have a table there.
What's your message to the world?
Don't give up. And I'm not talking, Nike, be the thing. It's don't give up on yourself. It's really, really easy to let things get you down, to let other people's opinions get you down, and to allow circumstances to make you feel like you don't have control. It happens. Don't kick yourself if it does, but don't stay there. Allow yourself to move forward. Don't give up.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today.
You are
to
welcome.
share your amazing story, and I think we could probably talk for another week if we really wanted to. And I'm sure the viewers would like to see some of the things you're making, and I guess at the end of the day, come down to Gilded Poppy Makery and see for yourself how amazing, you know, this whole industry can be, and then all there is to learn about it, and see if you can find your authentic self and create your own little lane. And we thank you for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me. I had a ball. Thank you.